What's happening, San Diego? Great Friday morning to you. How you going? It's Andy and Elsten, your midday hang, ready to take you into the sports weekend, and doing so in style with Annie Heilbrunn and Braden Suprenant. I'm Craig Elsten in our Odyssey studios overlooking Murphy Canyon. Ready to roll 4 hours live local San Diego sports talk with you. Well, Annie, your camera's not here, but I just want to show everyone you are here.
I'm here.
There she is.
My camera is not working, and I also just somehow unmuted my mic on the YouTube, so I don't know if that's going to mess things up.
You're not connected at all. If it can't,
it's not even connected?
If it can't find your camera, if it can't find your camera, it can't find your mic.
Okay,
So.
it definitely can't find my camera. I've unplugged everybody. I've unplugged and plugged back in.
So your power cycle.
The power cycle has been reset.
Is it turned on? Yes.
It's telling me that it cannot
in.
find my camera. It's giving me a big red, not for you today. Not for you, Annie. So.
No, it is a Friday.
It is a Friday, right. And I'm just, we're going with the flow, guys. Like now it's saying couldn't find a microphone. Is it possible you don't have one plugged in? Is it possible that there's a lot of things that are possible? Okay. But anyways, I'll try to get back on this camera when
we can fix it.
Yeah,
And for everybody who's not on YouTube, it's just like it always was.
Good morning,
Our
everyone.
voices.
Happy Friday.
For everyone who's not on YouTube, listening to the radio.
Doesn't care about all of these problems.
Then we are good.
Yes, and which I think you shouldn't care about all these problems.
I agree.
So.
I agree. All right. We got a Friday show lined up for you. We got a good one. Should roll as usual. I think the second half of the show will just accelerate in speed. It'll go from 12 to 2, just like that. And then Gwen and Chris will be coming in. Here's what we got lined up. We're going to preview both NFL championship games later in a bifurcated Braden's football segment. We'll do NFC. We'll do AFC. We'll, sink our teeth into the two
big games. Or big games, yeah.
Two huge games. Should be two
bifurcated.
interesting
I was trying to think
games.
if I knew. I mean, I'm thinking bifurcated means split down the middle.
Yeah, split.
Yeah, okay.
Normally we do one Braden's football segment, but we're going to split it or bifurcate it into two.
Bifurcated.
Are you ready to
AFC,
bifurcate, Braden?
NFC.
Yes. Bifurcate a lot. Always be bifurcating.
Indeed. Always.
ABB.
ABB.
That's right.
Coming soon to a wall near you.
Okay.
So we're going to do that.
Second place, box steak knife. Third place, you're fired.
We've got lots
Have
of
you ever
baseball.
Have you seen that movie yet,
Oh, yeah.
Annie?
You haven't, have
Probably
you?
not.
What movie?
No, you haven't.
No,
Glengarry
yeah,
Glen Ross.
Oh, it's on the list. It's on.
No, whatever that means. That means nothing.
It's on the list.
It's on the list.
You know what? You know
Where's
what?
the
Even-
list?
You don't
Where's
even
the
have
list?
to
The
watch
list
the
is
entire
really
movie.
the list exists. It's just getting longer and longer and longer, but it's at the top of the list, and because it's one of the first ones you guys suggested. The problem is what you just said. I really should just at least go on YouTube and watch like the
You
open.
just need to watch that scene.
Right, the
Yeah.
scene.
That's it.
And honestly, then I'd probably be like, oh, I want to watch the whole movie.
Then you will want to watch the whole movie.
You said it's
yes.
like 90 minutes. It's
Yeah,
perfect for me.
it's a great movie.
So I'm going to put it on the list for this weekend.
Okay.
I'm going to put it on the list for this
All right.
weekend.
We're
Let's
gonna-
see how I do.
we're
Ask
gonna-
me on Monday.
Well, you won't be here.
That's
we'll
right.
ask you on Tuesday.
Me on Tuesday.
Live.
Yeah.
You get an extra day.
I'll take
I was
live.
hoping you wouldn't remember that.
Take live for 500, Trebek.
There's so
Well, I got to
Things that won't
Gotta make a
happen this
mental note,
weekend
yeah.
for 400, please.
Got to take a mental note to ask you on Tuesday
Annie
how you
watching
enjoyed
Glengarry.
Glengarry
Jot
Glen
that down.
Ross.
Jot that down.
Yes, I just might.
There's no
I
way
just
she
might.
watches that.
Yeah. Hey, don't fear the list.
Third place
Embrace
is
the
fine.
list. Attack the list.
The list is
Shorten the
growing,
list.
but the
Shorten
list
the
does
list.
exist. There's actually a few like you've given me.
If the list
I'm
exists,
not kidding. I'm not
let's,
kidding. I
let's
have-
pull it out. Let's see what's on
Okay.
the list.
No,
here.
she's pulling it out right now, or writing it.
no.
Trying to remember
No,
frantically.
okay,
What
I have-
movies did he say? What movies did they say?
Industry,
Yes. Oh, yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Glengarry Glen Ross, and
Yeah.
I actually have a note, an asterisk that says first scene. Just
First
YouTube
scene.
it.
Just the first scene. Just watch the first scene. We're not asking much. We are like the teachers in like high school or college are like, you only have to read 5 pages. In fact, just read the first
Okay.
page, and then everybody shows
Yeah.
up to class. Anybody read? No? All right. Why
I
am
have
here?
Rebel Ridge.
Yeah. Oh,
You guys
yeah.
have said
I loved
that.
Rebel Ridge.
I have Challengers because my
Yes.
girl's Zendaya.
Yes.
Blackberry.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's not for me, but
Okay.
okay.
The
It's not for me either.
comeback. What was the comeback?
The comeback was the Red Sox Yankees
Oh yeah. I haven't
documentary.
honestly.
So
I'm
good.
bummed at myself. I haven't watched that.
So good.
Because that's a good one. I want to watch that. I want to put down. What were you guys talking about yesterday? The golf.
Full swing.
Full swing.
I want to
swing
talk.
is
I want to
so
watch
good.
receivers and quarterbacks too. Did you guys watch receivers
I
and
didn't watch
quarterbacks?
that
I
one.
watched the quarterback.
Was it good?
I thought it was.
Okay, yeah, I like to watch those, so I'm putting that on the list.
Put it on
Actually,
the
I'll
list.
probably watch those before I watch any other things that you
That's fair.
suggested.
Well,
Well,
but you said you'd watch Glengarry Glen Ross, so
Yeah,
How long is that scene?
Like
10 minutes
Oh, is
maybe.
it 10 minutes? I was going to say
I
she
mean,
could watch it in
maybe?
2 parts during breaks.
Yeah, like maybe.
oh, and I also have from Media Melanie, who's in the chat, which I'm so bummed I haven't watched this yet either, and I'll honestly watch this before any of your suggestions, Craig. Sorry. Is
Well, not if you don't
Shrinking,
remember
Shrinking
it.
season 2. Yes. So that is on the list.
Okay.
Great.
All
Okay,
right.
well,
Okay.
glad we took a look at the list. I'm
list
going
is
to
there.
probably be
This list
Below
going to
Deck
take Annie
and
to
Real
2026.
Housewives until I'm done with that. Then I'll get to the list.
Then you'll get to the list.
The chat doesn't have a lot of faith in you.
That's reasonable.
This list is going to take Annie to 2026.
Fair.
Well, she's got 11
The
months.
sports ones have a better chance
Mm-hmm.
because we will discuss them and everything, and I think that they're like relevant. But the other ones actually sound really good. The other suggestions,
Yeah, a little, not sports for once.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
just
yeah.
go the other
Be good.
direction.
Sometimes you got to mix it up. You know?
Especially,
Sometimes you gotta
let me
mix
tell
it
you
up.
something for all you wonderful people listening. You got to get these in before Padre season starts.
That's right.
Once Padre season starts, your TV viewing goes out the window,
Pretty much.
except for like games. And I know you're out there and you're like, I'm not watching any games, and I understand, but maybe you might find yourself just watching some or listening to
Well-
some. So get your TV viewing in now. Your series.
That's what Thursdays are for.
Absolutely.
If you look at the schedule again.
Oh yeah, okay.
Series watching days.
Nobody watches on Thursdays.
Yeah.
There you go.
There's no games on Thursdays.
Yeah, seriously. Thursdays are just like an off day the whole year, almost.
I feel,
Almost.
feel bad for everybody who wanted the. Can you imagine if they offered a Thursday only TV package or a ticket package?
Right. You get all the Thursdays.
All the
this
Thursday
year.
home games, which are 3. There's only 4. You get opening day though.
Yeah.
In this hypothetical, 4 Thursday home games.
Well, it's funny that you brought out the list and mentioned the comeback because quite truly and literally this morning I thought about that. I did because I remembered the parts, especially in the first episode of the comeback, after the Red Sox, mortal rivals of the Yankees, had taken them to Game 7 of the championship series and held the lead and blew it by leaving Pedro in too long. And then Aaron Boone walks him off in extra innings off Wakefield. And then that winter, the Red Sox pursued Alex Rodriguez, agreed to a trade to acquire Alex Rodriguez. Part of the trade was deferring some of his pre-existing contract. MLB nixed it, put the big red X on it, and then the Yankees came in and traded for Alex Rodriguez.
Yep.
And instead of this coveted player coming to their team, Boston, it went to the rival team, the Yankees. And boy, didn't that feel Sasaki-like. Not the same, not the same.
Totally the
But,
same. Yeah.
but
Yeah, of
just in the
course, yeah.
general idea, right?
Yeah,
Just
They're
like
in your division.
Tanner
they're-
Scott
yeah.
is a player that was on our team that we
Yeah.
want, and now he's on their
It
team.
was hard to see Tanner Scott in Dodger Blue yesterday.
It was hard.
Yeah.
It was hard. And it was an incredibly, incredibly frustrating offseason for the Boston Red Sox because they saw not just A-Rod, but then they saw Gary Sheffield go there. And then the Yankees signed a pitcher too. And they just completely bulked up
Yeah.
beyond all recognition almost of the team that they were. And it was very, honestly, pretty reminiscent of what the Dodgers are doing now. Dodgers are doing it even bigger.
Right.
But it's kind of what happened. Now, here's the happy part of the story for Padre fans. If we continued that analogy out all the way, we will have a stumbling, bumbling start to the season in 2025 that'll get turned around when we trade our star shortstop. That's what happened in Boston. They traded Garcia Parra. But maybe that won't be an exact comp. But nonetheless, they got it together. Then they faced the Yankees again in the ALCS, and then they were down 3-0, and then they came back, hence the title of the documentary, The Comeback. So the Red Sox were thought that winter to be in big trouble.
This is a very apropos analogy.
Indeed. Now, the Red Sox kept spending.
Yeah.
And that's where the analogy dies.
The analogy bifurcates.
Yes, indeed. Just like that.
Split in the middle.
Split in the middle, because the guy that could have been brought back to this team wasn't brought back to this team. Jurickson Profar is an Atlanta Brave. The deal was announced, I mean, I'm not even kidding, like the second we turned our mics off.
Yeah, we were walking
Literally
out
the
of
second.
the room.
Yeah. It was like,
Yeah.
and goodbye, everyone. Bye. Click. Oh, hey, Profar.
Yeah.
Braves.
Jeff Passan was listening.
Yeah.
Yep.
It,
Yeah.
it was
Wait for those
wild.
guys to come off. We'll help Tony Gwynn Jr.
Yeah, absolutely wild. And that, that's the difference there. We get the last bite of the apple again. Nonetheless, at the time, it was like, okay, well, he signed, but we don't know what. And then we found out what? 3 years, $42 million, $14 million average annual value. Padres couldn't afford that. I mean, they could. They even couldn't sign him and trade someone else. I don't know.
Yeah, I was messaging with Jurickson Profar just this morning, and he said he's going to miss San Diego and all of the fans and everyone here. It is not an easy decision to leave, and obviously you're in free agency. You want to sign with a team, but from what Jeff Sanders tweeted, the two sides were never even close. And I don't have any other details on that, but it's not, I guess, it's not surprising in the sense of everything we've been hearing this offseason. But at the same time, it's a loss. I understand that he might not have the same production, that you can look at his stats and say, well, it was this year and whatnot. Everything I know about Jurickson Profar, I do believe he's tapped into something that he can use going forward. And the way that this guy works, the presence he is in the clubhouse and the dugout, not to mention on the field, is a guy that knows how to get on base. He's a smart baseball player. He knows what the game is asking for. He understands what a team needs to do to win. And believe me, his teammates are feeling that loss. Okay, you know what I mean? Like they didn't want Jurickson Profar to leave. So. Is it production that could never be made up? No, I'm not going to say that. I'm sure that this team can figure out ways to produce. And again, I don't know what Jurickson's going to do this year for the Braves. Is he going to be, at the top of his game? Is he going to take a step back? I don't know. But I hope the best for him. I hope that he continues to absolutely kill it. He has worked hard in his career. He's had a lot of ups and downs. And a player like that bets on himself and also understands how difficult it is in baseball to have longevity and to continue to produce. Like I said, is a very smart baseball player. And there's a reason that they get to this point in their career, and they tend to have some success because they've learned a lot along the way. So it's a bummer. I think it's a bummer.
It is. And we're kind of in the danger zone. So I'm just going to...
sorry.
No worries. I'm going to take it to 18 now. So I'm just going to back up what you said. This one really hurts, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And I just want to kind of repeat the journey. And if you've been here every day, you know it. But this time last year when Jurickson signed, I was as skeptical as I could be. And it's not that I disliked Jurickson Profar, nor failed to recognize what he did for the team from 2020 to 2022. It was built on his performance in 2023. He had, A.J. Cassaville wrote about it this morning. He had quite literally the worst performance in the National League as a Colorado Rocky. He looked done. He looked like he was done. And the idea that you were going to put that in left field last year and count on it was kind of a wild leap of faith. And what transpired was one of the most magical baseball seasons I've ever seen. And Jurickson was right in the middle of all of it. I think of him as a connecting player.
Yeah.
And this is the type of thing that you'll hear us talk about a lot more with soccer as we go forward. But there are some players who are connecting players who they are needed. They're the piece in the middle that makes all the other spokes of the wheel turn. And without that, everyone is just loose out there.
He's one of those players that can infiltrate between the young guys and the rookies and the international players and also everybody else. So the superstars and the guys that are just the pitchers, the whatever. He's someone that, like you said, connecting, that can kind of go between the groups. Not everybody in the clubhouse is like that. And so, yeah, he is. He is a heartbeat, not the heartbeat, but he has been a heartbeat of this team.
And in doing that, he helped create the identity and culture of the 2024 Padres. And it wasn't, and I don't want to just slight him by talking about all of the incredible ways off the field that he influenced this team. He put a 380 on base percentage up for the full season in left field, switch hitting 24 homers, leading the team in runs scored, driving in 85 runs.
Clutch, late and close. He was leading
one of the major
National
league's
League.
best.
Yes, Major Leagues, yes.
Yeah, one of the major league's best in clutch situations. He was the guy that's willing to stand up to the other team. He's the guy that's willing to stand up in the locker room and say when something's wrong, call somebody out.
Yeah.
This was an important player for the San Diego Padres. And while I do understand the difficulty of evaluating the next 3 years of Jurickson's career and putting a price tag on it, I always thought the real market price was somewhere around $345. 3 years, $45 million. And he got 3 years, $42 million. He
got a fair deal. I mean, I understand that there's people who will say, well, he got overpaid or whatever. This is the going rate. This is what it is for outfielders, and he's joining an outfield that is really good with the Braves. He's joining a scrappy team with the Braves. I mean, this is a team that Alex Anthopoulos has done a really good job over there. They haven't spent this offseason. We've been talking about that, but they decided to go for it on this deal. But this is a team that if they're healthy, which they were not last year at all, if they're healthy, they can be a very dangerous team, and so I believe the Braves got better.
I do too. And as such, the Padres got worse today. And this is one of the first times that I'm really willing to say that this offseason. I don't know for a fact that they'll be worse behind the plate losing Kyle Higashioka. It sure looks that way, but Kyle also had the best year of his career last year. So there's a chance that he would regress. Can you say the same thing about Profar? Of course you can. Of course you can. And I didn't expect him to go out and put up the exact same line numbers that he did, nor do I think Atlanta does. But I think 85% of that, given all of the reasons why he is so important to the team, made it a contract that in a normal time, the Padres should have no problem offering and feel very good about giving. And it would have been the easiest box to check. And if he took 3 years, 42 in Atlanta, I got a real strong feeling that if the Padres offered him 40 or 38 or 39 or somewhere in that close but not quite the same range, that he would have sacrificed that handful of millions to still get his bag and come back and be with this team and be one of the leaders of this team. And the Padres, as you said, didn't offer it. They didn't come close, according to what we've heard so far.
What we've heard,
And maybe they'll come out and say, no, we offered him more, and he took. But go ahead and change my mind. I feel like this is one that got away. Let's take a timeout. Let's put a button in it, and we'll come back and we'll talk more, because I'm just curious, like, how you guys fill in the blank of 3 years, $42 million for Jurickson is blank. Is it risky?
Yeah.
Is it justified? Is it underpay? Let's do that when we return. Annie and Elsten underway. San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. 1024 on the Fan. Welcome back, everybody. The battle for Annie's desktop camera continues, but so does the show. The show continues apace. Annie and Elsten here with you.
Show must go on.
The show, literally, it's show business, babe. Curtains up. Time to play.
What mic are you on now? The same one?
Same one.
Oh, okay.
Here I am.
Yep.
Oh, hey, look it.
Are we there? Well done.
Well done.
Looky. That's our guy.
Yep. Thank you.
Up Liverpool.
Best team in the world.
Just for you. Just for you.
All right.
I don't actually care, but
we
just
are
for
all
you.
good
Up
over
Liverpool.
here.
You ever talked soccer with Prasser?
Oh, he knows more than
He's
me.
dialed in. Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
Hey,
he knows
refs
more than me.
too. He's an official.
Yeah, he's on lock on the European, like everything.
Anytime
Who's
there's-
where, who's hot, who's not, who's about to be moved.
He puts it on in the sound space when there's big
Yeah,
matchups.
and I never get to see it because we're in here.
That's right.
But there, speaking of not being able to see it, well, that was the situation with Annie until right now on YouTube. There she is.
Here I am.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike. Mike got it done.
Great
as he
job, Mike.
does. Yes.
Great job, Mike. All right. I ended the segment with a match game question, and I didn't distribute the pads. I should have, but
Shanti.
exactly. Jonty Jurickson signed a 3-year, $42 million contract to go to the Braves, and that contract is blank.
Fair.
Fair is
I
the
think it's
answer from
fair.
Annie Halbron. Da-ding. Fair.
Risky.
Braden says
Oh.
risky.
Look
For
at
the
you.
I mean, for the Braves, isn't that kind of risky for them? They don't hand out that kind of cash. It's not even a lot.
Yeah. And I am going to say doable.
Yeah,
That's a contract the Padres could have done.
I agree.
That's a contract the Padres could have done. And you know what? I think that's a contract the Padres should have done. I think they should have. I'm disappointed in the club today. I'm disappointed that they couldn't find their way to $40 million because I think $40 million gets the job done here in San Diego. Maybe 38.
You would have had to do what if they're trying to get under the CBT and get to that payroll window that they're asking for. I think you would have had to, I guess, move a rise, right? Like, did you have
Maybe.
to choose between one or the other?
Well, here's the thing. Arise is a free agent at the end of the year. So let's just play that hypothetical. I agree with you.
Yeah, because well, I'm just thinking like, in the current circumstances, why maybe they didn't do this kind of contract. But to me, like I agree with you and everybody like that or whoever's thinking this, that I think they should have kept Jurickson Profar. That's what I think.
Yeah, I do too. And if you wanted to make the argument, what's more valuable to the Padres at this price? 1 year of Luis Arraez or 3 years of Jurickson Profar? I'm going to pick 3 years of Jurickson. And the reason I'm going to pick 3 years of Jurickson is because I know the impact that this guy's had on his team in 2020, in 2021, in 2022, and in 2024. I've seen it. And I also saw the team without him in 2023 with the most expensive payroll in Padres history. Couldn't get out of their own way. That team the whole year until everything was done and dusted, and then they obnoxiously won 16 of 18 at the end and made it all look like it was better than it was. But it wasn't good. It was bad the whole year. It was a disconnected team. It was a team adrift. It was a team that Juan Soto said, we just seem to give up at times. You know who doesn't give up? Jurickson doesn't give up.
No,
Am I
he does
mythologizing
not.
him? I'm not trying to mythologize him. I completely respect the point of view, which is being articulated by several people in the chat, that it's an overpay. It's just what Braden said. It's a risk. It's potentially dangerous for Atlanta or for the team that signs him. The value you got from Jurickson last year was ridiculous for $2.5 million, which is what it wound up being. Okay? But the thing that I feel, Annie, like Padres fans have done unfairly to Jurickson is go, well, we got that for $2.5 million. So we can't pay more than $6 million for it. Like, he gave you like $30 million of value for $2.5 million last year. Settling at 14 is what the market does. That's how it works in the sport. So it becomes a matter of want to or what we're afraid of can do. Like, can the Padres simply not spend $1 until they move $5?
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be the next question here is who's going to play left field? And is this person coming in a trade? is the trade market, which we've been hearing about for months now, really. I mean, since the season ended and the offseason started, that the Padres are going to need to make a move by trades, and so I don't know. Yeah, like, is it going to be Turso? I don't know. Like, maybe, right? And so, I mean, we have a lot of questions still, right? But yeah, I do think like this was one where I don't know if they ever sat down at the table. I don't know if they just decided that we can't do it because he's going to get paid. We know he's going to get paid, something that we feel we can't give him. Jurickson and AJ Preller and his family go way back. I mean, way, way, way back. So I would have hoped that there would have been some kind of try to get something creative done. But who knows? I mean, Jurickson's agent could have also said, this is the number we're starting at. We believe that he deserves. And maybe they just said, well, we're not going to be able to get to that number. But it's a bummer. And it doesn't mean the end of the world for the Padres. The Padres can still be a good team. They can still contend. They can still get in the playoffs. I'm definitely not saying that. I'm just saying I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It sucks to lose them,
yes.
And that's that. They're going to have to turn the page. They already are, I'm sure. They're trying to figure out what they're going to do to better their team. But just for today, it stinks.
It does.
I think it shows a lot of different things with this, and definitely with the risks. But we could talk about that in a second.
Well, and I do think like it's
well, now we got to go to 33.
Okay.
Endemic of the situation that they're in, which we can get into a little bit with the financials, and we've been getting into all off season. But I think that in a perfect world, like you mentioned, you do this deal. You do this deal 2-3 years ago. You do this, and I'm not saying that because they had the money. You put yourself in more debt with this deal, really.
Yes,
like that's what you would have done.
Yes.
So but it's just not their reality right now. It's not the way that they can operate at this moment.
I don't think the risk reward is there for the Padres currently. They can't give Jurickson Profar $12 to $15 million a year and then have him be anything he was outside of San Diego. That'd be a catastrophic mistake for this team that already has major contract problems across the board. So as much as we love Jurickson Profar as a person and being a part of this team, look at his numbers outside of San Diego. They're not good. I mean, there's not. And he just hasn't played well outside of San Diego. He's been, kind of a disappointment. I know there's some articles about how, maybe this is the turnaround for him.
Right.
But it's still risky for Atlanta. I mean, what if he goes back to being the player that he was outside of San Diego for Atlanta? You willing to give him $15 million a year for that? I mean, if he plays like he did in Colorado for the Padres and they gave him this contract, in about 3 months, people would be losing their mind going, why did we give this guy a contract after 1 year?
Why does that happen with so many other players? I feel like we see players all the time, have a good year and then go get paid. Like, why for Jurickson is it like, I guess maybe because of his history is that maybe I'm answering it. But to
I'm
me,
not
it's
saying
like,
he doesn't deserve it. I'm just saying as an organization, you can't just be handing it out. I mean, there's somebody that's going to hand it out, but you have to see it from both sides. I mean, has Jurickson earned money for his career? Absolutely. That doesn't mean a team should go out there and sign him, though. That's the difference, right? If I'm running the Padres, right, I can't afford to have him fail. I can't afford to have that. It's going to be my job. It's the same thing with recruiting. I could bring in a guy that's 5'6", that's a phenomenal football player, but if he fails, it's my ass.
Right.
If I bring in a 6'4" player that's the same position and he stinks, it's not my ass as much. It's the same thing with just his track record and how much money you're paying him. If you were to give him $15 million, because that's what the market says, and he falls on his face, but he earned his money, that's right, he did earn his money, you cannot pay him for what he has done. You have to pay him for what he's going to do.
Well, but scared money don't make money. And I hear you, and I do think it's a risk for Atlanta, and Atlanta could end up, sure, absolutely. Any team can end up regretting whatever deal they do. So I hear you on that it could be a risk. And I heard Alex Anthopoulos talk about it yesterday. They feel like he has figured something out that is something they can take forward, but he's going to have to, this is on him now to kind of show that.
And for every other team, and we're going to go to break, for every other team in baseball, that risk was perfectly articulated for Braden. And the reason that personally I believe that the risk is not the same for San Diego is because when I look at the entirety of the picture, not just the spreadsheet, but the entirety of the picture, in my opinion, even a slightly underperforming Jurickson Profar that hits 270 with 16 home runs instead of 280 with 24 home runs still means more to San Diego specifically than to other franchises because of his relationship to Tatis, because of his relationship to Machado, because of the way he connects the clubhouse. I thought that was worth paying here, where every other team in the league could say, well, I don't know what he's going to do for us.
It's like a Freddie Freeman in Atlanta. I mean, it's like, well, maybe not like that because Freddie Freeman had a lot of more production.
Freddie Freeman's probably going to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe not exactly, but I'll just go with the present sort of thing. Like, it's like Atlanta could have done that deal, and they didn't. And where is he now? He's with the Dodgers. He's performing. He's doing amazingly, but he wanted to stay in Atlanta. Like, that was always his first choice, right?
He said the same thing about Dansby Swanson. That hasn't really worked out for the Cubs.
That's
too
true.
much.
That's true. That's true. We could go back and forth on it, and you're right about that.
Yeah. Let's take a break. When we come back, our first of two Braden football segments, because it's time to check in on the game that I think is everyone's most anticipated game of the weekend, the Bills and the Chiefs. Let's get into it next on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. 10:41 on the Fan. Annie and Elsten rolling with you. This hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by Robert Half. 9 out of 10 hiring managers are having difficulty hiring. Robert Half is here to help. Our recruiting professionals utilize an award-winning AI to connect businesses with highly skilled talent. At Robert Half, we know talent. Visit roberthalf.com/talent today. New read. Cheers, Robert Half. Appreciate you.
All right, Robert.
All right, Robert.
Thanks, Bob.
Yeah, thanks, Bob. I think I just got a text when we will be talking Padres again at 11, correct?
Yeah.
Okay,
sure.
so for those who are wanting more Padres talk,
Padres.
but we're going to do a little NFL now.
Yeah, we did. I believe we signed traded for reality TV star Rob Marinaro from Boston. Rob from the White Sox.
Yeah.
Marinaccio?
Ron Marinaccio. Ron Marinaccio.
What's the Italian place? Mariaccio.
Yeah.
Marciarios?
Marciarios, yes.
Out in East County?
Yeah.
I know my East County.
Marinaccio from the White Sox for cash. So
Marciarios.
never mind.
Good spot.
It is a
We
very
cool.
good spot.
Yeah.
We good. We'll break down Rob Marinaccio and what he'll bring to the Padres.
Ralph Macchio.
Ralph Macchio.
It might be the same guy.
The crane kick is coming. We're going to crane kick you guys in the ninth inning.
Who says
with
we
Ralph Macchio?
Who said the Padres don't make moves?
That's right. Hey, Cobra Kai.
It's a popular series.
Cobra Kai bleepers. Here we go. Okay. We will get back to more baseball talk coming up in the next hour. But we've got the two biggest football games of the year until the next biggest football game of the year 2 weeks later. Coming up.
Definitely not next week.
Yeah, definitely not next week. What, the Pro Bowl games?
The Pro Bowl
Throwing balls through hoops.
activities.
Yeah,
It's basically PE class for professional athletes.
indeed.
Tug
So
of war.
we'll ignore that completely next week. There will be no football segment about that
Yeah.
next week. However, there will be a football segment right now. Braden's football segment, NFC Championship edition. Who's not fascinated by the Bills and the Chiefs, the two best teams in the AFC, hooking up 3:30 p.m. on CBS and streaming live on Paramount Plus this Sunday?
A rematch of the game earlier this season where the Bills beat the Chiefs.
Yes.
At home in Buffalo. This time it'll be in KC. Game last week was fun for the ones that attended. Sushi Sam was there. I got stuck in Chicago on the way back for 2 days.
Did Sushi Sam buy any snow for $50?
Great
From the
question.
Bills,
Well,
I don't know.
I don't know if they sold any there, right? Yeah.
I don't think so.
Okay.
We should. How many tables did he go through? That's a
Yeah.
better question,
Right.
And if he didn't go through a table, is he really a Bills fan? Fake Bills fan.
Or just not quite at the level yet.
Yeah,
Not
he hasn't
quite
earned
there.
his stripes
Yeah.
yet.
Neophyte.
Still transitioning from being a Chargers fan to a Bills fan.
He's a tenderfoot of Bills fans.
When you get baptized in the Bills fandom, you got to go through a table. They just go bang
Yeah.
through a table.
Flaming table usually,
That's right.
right?
No.
Or is that just
nicely
wrestling?
done.
That's wrestling. Tables, ladders, and chairs match, maybe.
They have great tailgating
We could get
out
Brandon
there.
Stone on. He could break down the WWE for us, but that's a different day, different time for different
I am
day.
looking forward to this game. This
So
should be
am
a
I.
good game.
Can the Bills finally take down the Chiefs in the playoffs after losing 3 straight to KC in the postseason? Bills will have to go against history to do so, having lost 7 straight road playoff games. The ability to limit quarterback Patrick Mahomes will play a large role, especially given Buffalo's strength at forcing takeaways. In Buffalo's regular season win over KC, Mahomes threw 2 interceptions. However, Kansas City have gone 8 straight games, including the playoffs, without committing a turnover. So that's something to watch. As for Kansas City, put a little extra emphasis on third down defense against the Bills, who converted 9 of 15 on third downs in their Week 11 win over KC. That led to Buffalo holding an advantage of 71 offensive plays to 52 and a time of possession edge of 34 minutes to 26. Getting Josh Allen and the Bills offense off the field will take some creativity from defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo, but he's one of the best that can do it, and he is one of the best in the game. Has a strong pass rush that the Chiefs showed last week. They sacked quarterback C.J. Stroud 8 times.
Woo.
Stat to know, Annie.
The Bills have committed the fewest turnovers in NFL this season with 8, while also producing a league-high 35 takeaways, including the regular season and the playoffs.
That's wild.
That seems very good.
Plus 27?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, how much of that is fluke? I
Yeah.
mean, the 8 part you feel great about. You only turned it over 8 in 18 games.
And I mean, if you're
19
league high
games?
35 takeaways, I mean, your defense is cooking.
What has Josh Allen's problem been for so long? It's turnovers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has protected the ball,
Yeah. He's grown as a quarterback for sure.
and he's almost had, who knows, we'll see who wins the MVP. An MVP talent level season. Hasn't ran the ball as much either, which is great. They got to try to use Cook a little bit more because the running game for Buffalo has been a lot of Josh Allen. It's going to get him killed if they decide to do that. So hopefully Cook can get involved as well. But you take care of the rock, you're going to win a lot of games, and that's what Buffalo has done.
And you just feel like with Josh Allen, it's like he's been the bridesmaid enough that he's learned. You know what I mean? Like,
Got to keep hanging
is this
around the
his
rim,
time?
Annie.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
Got to keep hanging around the rim. Eventually, it's your time. Kansas City's favored by 2 before we get to the bold prediction. Who do we have?
This is such a difficult game.
I'm taking the Bills just
Wait,
because
what-
I'm tired of the Chiefs.
Bills straight up to
I'm
win,
taking the
is
Bills.
what you're
I'm taking the
saying.
Bills.
Straight up.
Oh, you're both taking the Bills.
I am. You know what? I don't. It's not like I don't think the Chiefs can do it. I just think the Bills have it this year.
I mean, anything under 3 is basically a coin flip game anyway. So I'm taking the
Okay,
Bills straight up.
well, you're both going to take the Bills. So I'll go ahead and take the back-to-back NFL champs on home turf to do what
Yeah.
they've done every other time, which is win.
No one will be surprised. I will not be surprised if the Chiefs win because they know how to do it. They get
Yeah.
it done. They figure out a way. But I'm going for the Bills. Let's do it, Bills.
Yeah,
see what
let's go,
happens.
Buffalo.
Yeah.
Now I'll probably be
Shake it up a little bit.
Make you
honestly,
wanna
I'll
shout,
probably
put
be
your hands
rooting
up
for the
and shout.
Bills
Now, will
in
the
this game.
NFL be like twisting things so that Taylor makes it to the Super Bowl again? I mean,
With
are we-
Caitlin Clark, is she going to
Right,
be
is
at
with
the
Caitlin
game
Clark,
again?
Is
Yeah.
that right?
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So, I mean, how is the officiating going to go? You know, I know
Yeah.
we're going to get to that.
We're going to get the officiating nugget.
I'll root for Buffalo.
Okay.
But
Yes.
if you guys are both going to pick the Bills, I
Yeah,
got
be
to
the
pick.
contrarian.
I got to pick the Chiefs. I got to. I mean, they're literally favored.
Bold prediction, KC running back Samaje Perine will record at least 4 receptions, matching his season high mark for him. I'm going to sell that. The guy barely plays.
21% of targets against the Bills have gone to running backs, third highest in the league. Okay. Well, this is from somebody who's picking the Bills to
Walter.
win, so they think that the Chiefs are going to be behind 2 touchdowns, throwing all the time.
I don't-
So
I-
P. Ryan's in
They're
the
going to
buy
use
it.
Pacheco.
Whatever, he gets 4
they're gonna use.
receptions.
I think they use Pacheco and Hunt more than they use Perine.
Yeah.
Sell.
I don't even
I'm selling it.
hear about
So-
this guy.
I don't think they're going to be on multiple scores where they're in a pass-happy phase.
betting nugget. Allen and Mahomes are 4-4 against each other in record. They are 4-4 against each other against the spread. But in the playoffs, all Pat, 3-0 straight up, 3-0 against the spread.
It's all Mahomey. Yes.
Yeah. So hence why I'll stay on
Hence
that side.
why
of-
I will not be surprised if they get it done. Right.
Stay on that side.
Sam, you're missing a defender there, buddy. That's only 10 players. 4-2-4 defense doesn't work well against the Chiefs
Sam's
because you only
hitting
have
the
10
tailgate.
players.
He's already getting through the
yeah,
tables.
jeez, man.
Too few players on the field.
Yeah. No,
10 players on the
no
field
wonder the
is,
Chiefs are undefeated against Buffalo. They're only playing with 10 guys on defense.
Well, the official that's going to call, maybe 10 guys on the field, although Clete Blakeman has been the referee for 12 Chiefs games since Mahomes was drafted in 2017. They are 6-6 in those games and 110-30 in all other games. Blakeman's regular season crew led the NFL with 18.1 flags per game. Where's that .1 coming from? But it's worth noting
Averages,
that Blakeman
Annie,
himself
averages.
from
threw
averages.
only 3 flags for roughing the passer, tied for the second fewest in the league. And we know how the league likes to protect Mr. Mahomey. So, what's going to happen?
Wow. I heard yesterday.
They're setting him up.
When I was dropping James off at swim at the wrong place, which I might tell that story to start the hour.
Wow, you dropped your kid off at the wrong. Did you
Hey,
leave?
don't digress.
Okay.
Yes, I did. Don't digress. But Scraby went into this whole thing.
Oh, I heard his promo the other day.
Yeah, about like
cheating
he had
Chiefs.
all the numbers from 2021 forward of how many more holding calls have been against the opponent than against the Chiefs.
He brought receipts.
He did. I mean, it was
A well-researched,
reasonably
yes.
supportable argument that if nothing else, you have
wasn't
to
wearing a-
land.
He
Yeah.
wasn't wearing a tinfoil hat when he was saying this?
No, I mean, this basically he presented the stats. The stats are indisputable. The Chiefs have benefited from many more calls against their opponent than they have taken themselves. They have also taken the fewest penalties in the league in that time. And the Tony Gwynn argument was, well, they're just disciplined. They're a disciplined team, so therefore this is their advantage. This is an earned advantage.
Yeah.
They're more disciplined than their opponent.
Just like, well, I do liken it to when you are a baseball player and you get, when your box is a little bit bigger or a little bit different sometimes than maybe someone else, right? Like you get some 50-50 calls on the edges go your way. They're so I think of it the same way sometimes.
Matchup X Factor, Chiefs defensive end George Karlaftis, limiting Allen's ability to get to the edge of the pocket where he can create as both a runner and a thrower is critical for the Chiefs defense. Karlaftis,
I agree with that.
Who had 3 sacks in the divisional rounds, will be tasked with containing Allen and generating pressure late in the down.
I think he really does matter because it is the edge rush. And the whole thing about Allen, right, are you going to put a spy on him? Are you going to put that up-the-middle spy on him to force him kind of a la Jackson, stay in the pocket? It's better if you throw as opposed to letting him bust up the middle because I do not think the Chiefs are going to sack Josh Allen 8 times.
The thing with a spy, if you're going to use a spy, you definitely have to use, you're susceptible to stuff across the middle because your linebacker's there, right? And your linebacker's supposed to take away the stuff across the middle. So if you go man up, and then you put a spy, you could be able to do it, but you got to be able to mix up your looks a little bit. Otherwise, and maybe you could bait Allen into doing some of those things. But if they run a lot of crossing routes and stuff, the spy is very difficult to pull off. So I don't know if they need one on Allen. He does like to throw first instead of run, but he does like to take matters in his own hands. I honestly would rather just let him run because when he decides to run, he starts to make bad decisions, and you might be able to cause some turnovers in this particular game. Local products in the game, I know of at least a couple. Matt Ariza at Rancho Bernardo in San Diego State is the punter for KC. Casey Toohill out of Cathedral Catholic plays for the Bills, and I'm trying to find any others. I think that's it off the top of my head.
Okay.
Some local ties in the game.
It's going to be a great game. It absolutely could go either way. If the Chiefs lose, then there will be this moment of celebration for the football world, both because they lost, and so the run is over, and secondly, because now Buffalo gets a chance at their first ever Super Bowl championship. But I do think that feeling will dull by Monday, and it'll be kind of like, oh, we could have had a better Super Bowl matchup.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see. Bills-Lions would have been incredible. Bills-Eagles, Bills-Commanders. Is that a great Super Bowl? I don't know. It's up to you to decide. It's up to the players to decide as well. But
what's the weather in Kansas City? Did you just say that?
let me just guess. Cold?
It's probably cold.
Okay.
Super cold?
It's probably really cold.
30. Well, it's 34 degrees there right now.
Oh, wow.
So Sunday.
A balmy
Sunday.
34.
Wait, are they playing Saturday or Sunday?
Sunday. Everybody's on Sunday.
Thank you. 32 degrees on Sunday.
Okay.
They are the second game, too. They're the 3:30 kick.
So that means 5:30 their time. So
Yeah.
sun will be down. It'll get colder and colder.
It's going to be cold.
Yeah, it'll be cold, but the wind is what matters for the Packers.
It's a tough place to play. I mean,
Arrowhead,
when it's full of fans and the noise level and everything, like that place is rough.
Now, the Frogs went in
Yeah.
there and won this year. It can't be that hard.
Oh, good point.
Wow, look at you.
Unfortunately, the Jayhawks were the team that they were playing and not the Chiefs. A little bit easier of a task.
Just a
little bit easier.
I mean, their quarterback's good too, but
That's right.
all right, that's it for our number one of Andy and Elsten. But when we come back, breaking down every level of the Rob Marinaccio to San Diego move.
Rod
Plus
Marinelli.
more Padres talk.
But more
Besides
realistically, are the
that.
Dodgers breaking baseball? Jeff Passan wrote something pretty interesting about that. Plus, automatic ball strike system coming to Peoria. Talk about all that in the next hour. Baseball coverage on 97.3 The Fan is presented by T-Mobile. Head to T-Mobile.com. Get a great deal on an iPhone 16 Pro. Welcome back, everybody. It's hour number 2 of Annie and Elsten. Annie Halbern, Craig Elsten, Braden Soprenet, all together in our Odyssey studios, coming to you live on 97.3 FM radio. Welcome to everybody listening in their car. Coming to you live on the Odyssey app, streaming worldwide, AUDACY. Haven't been to every country to personally confirm that we're streaming worldwide, but we believe we are.
Man, I would love it if someone paid for that.
Yeah.
Just to go to the country, turn on your app.
Michael, I'm here in Sri Lanka, and I can report that, yes, we hear 97.3 The Fan. I'll be on to Madagascar.
Like the Verizon guy. Can you hear me now?
Exactly.
Can you hear me now?
It's going around. I'm heading toward...
I'll take that job.
heading toward the mountains now.
Annie, I
Calling you from the
volunteer as
Himalayas.
tribute.
Yes.
Indeed.
Sure
Indeed.
you do, Katniss.
So, listen, I kind of made fun of it, but the Padres did just trade for a reliever, kind of.
Ralph Macchio.
Ralph Macchio.
Ron Marinaccio.
Oh.
Marinaccio.
Marinaccio.
Marsharios.
Marsharios?
Not maraschino. Maraschino cherry.
That'd be a cherry.
Marinaccio pitcher. Maraschino cherry.
All right.
Marinara sauce.
What do we know about good old Ron? Wait,
Okay.
is that his first name?
Yes.
Okay.
Ron Marinaccio is 6'2". He's 29 years old.
He was a Yankee.
He was a Yankee. However, he was just DFA'd by the White Sox.
Oh, okay.
Who he never pitched for. So, not exactly sure about that part of the Ron Marinaccio story, how he got there and then got let go from there. He is a blue hen. He graduated from the University of Delaware. Yep. Went to Delaware. He is under control for the next, well, forever. He's a free agent in 2029. He's not arbitration eligible until next year. And the last 3 years, he's had short stints, short to not short stints with the New York Yankees. In 2022, Ron Marinaccio was quite good for the New York Yankees. 44 innings of a 2.05 ERA. He allowed only 22 hits and 2 homers, and he did walk 24. He walked more than he gave up hits, but he did strike out 56. So he was pretty good 2 years ago. Then in 2023, he was okay. 3.99 ERA, 47 innings, still fewer hits than innings pitched, still too many walks, still more strikeouts than innings. And then last year, he was mostly in the minor leagues. He pitched for Scranton Wilkes-Barre to a 2.04 ERA, closing 8 saves, 39 innings. He pitched for the Yankees for 23 innings and had a 3.86 ERA and just kind of the exact same thing. It looks like he walks too many guys. He's hard to hit. He's got strikeout stuff. And he is another flyer pickup for your San Diego Padres that don't cost a thing.
And we have spent more time on this than we need.
Yeah, we're done.
We're done. That's
I
the
told
new
you
guy that might not even break camp.
I told you we'd give you all of the information on Ron
There it is.
Marinaccio.
And time.
Complete.
3 minutes and 42 seconds.
And
yeah.
scene.
Just stealing the thunder from Annie's Sports Fix.
I did have it in my sports fix.
Good. So if you missed anything we just said about the new Padre, then you can tune
my
in.
report's going to be much smaller.
Then.
But I mean, I'm just looking very quickly. It seemed like he lost a lot of command at some point, and then he got it back.
Here's the sad irony. Ron Marinaccio was DFA'd in order that the White Sox could put Martin Perez on their roster.
Yeah.
They signed for $5 million that we couldn't sign. So
You can pretend it's a trade.
yeah, the Padres. The Padres continue. This does not
we'll see
put
if
a
he
point
breaks
on the
camp.
board.
Yeah.
This does not put a point on the board. We remain shut out since the 24 innings.
That's a White Sox reference.
Yeah, exactly.
Put it on the board,
Yes. Don't put it on the board. No. We remain shut out since the 24 innings. The shutout continues. Profar's in Atlanta. Sasaki's in L.A.
A lot of second place
Higashioka's
trophies.
in Texas. We finished second in every single thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring some good news here. I'm gonna bring some happy news. I was watching Randy Vasquez, and he was pushing cars.
Yes, pushing
cars up a hill.
Wow.
With like his back and his arms. And I thought, how about that? So
that reminds me like that. Remember the LaDainian Tomlinson commercial a long time ago. Was it Nike or Gatorade or something like that? Maybe it was milk. No, it was milk. It was like drink more milk, and they were doing like a backyard workout. It was like him and Kimbo Slice or something like that. Guys like they were like squatting cars and like all this stuff. That's exactly what I thought of when I saw that video of Vazquez.
So, people are getting after it. People are getting after it. They're going to come to spring training ready.
Best shape of his life.
That's right. And I'm excited for that.
Pushing cars.
Guy's doing a Karate Kid, Rocky workouts
and
combined.
Diablo's like, does that actually fix your slider, or will it help him get out lefties, the car pushing?
He's building up his something or other.
Yeah.
Strength, endurance,
He's building
whatever
up his core,
it is.
his legs.
His legs, yeah.
I need to see him boxing a rib cage of a cow, chasing a chicken, all the Rocky training videos. Get him in shape. Looking forward to it.
All right, here's something to chew on briefly. If we kick it to the next segment, we do as well. Jeff Passan yesterday wrote an extremely long, well-sourced, very detailed, dispassionate report on the pursuit of Roki Sasaki, on the whole of it. And going beyond that to what LA is doing to the baseball ecosystem. The story, which you can see for free on ESPN.com, is titled "Inside Dodgers Roki Sasaki Signing: Spree That Rocked MLB," spree that rocked MLB. There's a good deal. I read this whole thing this morning. There's a good deal of it that is just a restatement of the exact same arguments Ken Rosenthal made in his column earlier in the week. Basically like, hey, other teams aren't spending. I mean, he's very specific about the Cubs having their ownership come out and go, hey, we're only trying to break even,
right,
and then underbidding Tanner Scott, that
right,
they wanted Tanner Scott and they simply underbid.
Yeah, and he has some numbers in there, right, about the valuation of the franchise and everything like that, which and what Forbes put their profits at over the last 5 years or whatnot. So there's some numbers in there too, But essentially it's the same argument of this is a baseball problem. This is the Dodgers are what he's saying is the Dodgers are a symptom of a problem in baseball that is going to need to probably be addressed in the CBA, or is at least going to come up. And then he talks about the longest work stoppage that happened in baseball the last time a salary cap was tried, to be put into Major League Baseball, and that was 94. Is that right?
Yeah.
So he's essentially saying this is a problem, and did the Dodgers game the system so much that now MLB is going to be forced to try to make some changes? And then all the challenges why that might not happen.
Correct. Here's a short piece from Passan's article. It says, the anger from disillusioned fans, from dispirited front offices, from owners made to look as if they don't care, is very real. And it's growing to the point that people at the highest level of Major League Baseball acknowledge it concerns them.
It should.
Yeah. Most worrisome is the rhetoric that fans are done with the game, that what LA is doing is unfair, that the financial imbalance ruins the sport. A villain around which people can rally is tolerable. An unbeatable monolith is not. An exemplar for how teams can operate is instructive. An extinguishing of hope is not. And with every transaction pushing the Dodgers further from the former and more toward the latter, MLB faces growing cynicism that has reignited calls for a salary cap and made collective bargaining discussions set to start a year from now before the current basic agreement expires that much more fraught with peril.
Yes, and he writes at the end, the greatest drug of sports fandom is belief, which I like to call hopium. And right now, belief in baseball is waning. But he makes the argument that October has always been the great equalizer, and uses the same argument that we've talked about on the show before, where you don't have repeat dynasties like you do in other sports, like we've seen, like in the NFL, for example. You don't always have the team that spends the most money winning the world championship, although you can also make the argument that the teams that spend the teams that are left at the end of the day in the playoffs are typically the teams that are in the top 15, at least of the payroll. So the top half of the payroll for Major League Baseball. So he makes that. So essentially, like, if the Dodgers don't win it all, I don't ever say the word right. The Schadenfreude,
Schadenfreude.
Everybody reveling in the bully going down will be enough to be like, hey, see, everything evens out in October when there's so much randomness. But if they do win it, then he believes that the hope from fans, when you're like, well, what's the point anymore? what's the point when our owner can only spend this much money and they can spend all that money, or saying that or whatever is enough that's going to hurt baseball. He did have a few nuggets in there about the Roki Sasaki sweepstakes as well, that the players hosted Roki over at Manny Machado's house. They had a Japanese chef, and also that the Padres were the first out of the sweepstakes before Toronto, and then it ended up being the Dodgers.
I think there's multiple problems at play here now with baseball that you see in every league. I think every league is dealing with this problem because every league right now is losing television ratings. The NFL, college football, the NBA, Major League Baseball, you're losing all of this interest in fans, and it goes a lot of different ways with kind of this attitude of, it's a league that's built on entertainment, and you need that hopium at the beginning of the year, right? Like Annie said, it's with how expensive sports are for people to consume, with how much they have to invest in it, for all of that to be in play, and you go into the season going, only one team really has a chance at winning. It's very hard for people to be invested in this particular sport or in sports, especially when a lot of people can't keep their attention to one thing for a long period of time. We have so many snippets of things all over the place, and you're starting to see that with a lot of ratings. I mean, this is like the lowest national championship ratings that they've had in a long time. You got people cutting the cord. You got the TV deals running out. You got these guys making just insane amounts of money, and you start seeing a little bit of complacency with some of the athletes. You see the NBA guys not playing all the time. You see all the baseball players going to one team like the NBA was. You see in the NFL just the different. I mean, there's so many games now that it's just too much. And like sports right now are in a very difficult spot of trying to hold people's attention, and you're seeing it everywhere. And who's always behind? Major League Baseball. And the fact that they're not raising a major red flag on this is a little concerning for the sport, because not only have they alienated the Padres fans, which is fine because that's the rival, but when you got fans of like the Yankees freaking out about how good the Dodgers are, you gotta and how they're like, what's even the point? You got a major problem on your hands when you're trying to draw eyeballs to a sport that plays 162 games in a season.
I think there's one thing in Passan's article that is particularly of importance to this discussion, and we'll talk about it right after this quick timeout. We're going to keep this rolling. Plus, the Padres are going to be one of the number one guinea pigs in all of Major League Baseball for automated balls and strikes this spring. How many times? We'll let you know after this. Annie and Elsten on The Fan. The Odyssey app lets you jump back to the moments you missed on 97.3 The Fan. So while you're listening, you can see what you missed and you can click to feature or something crazy that happened earlier. We've got you covered. Download the free Odyssey app, search 97.3 The Fan, tap earlier today, and get started. And while you're there, leave us a little voice message. We had 2 of them yesterday on Ask Us Anything.
I would love a Friday voice message.
I'd like Friday voice messages.
You don't even have to ask about sports. Like,
No.
you can let us know where you're from and like what you're doing this weekend or something.
Yeah, anything. Give us a...
Let us get to know you.
Please. The
What
Odyssey
sign
app.
are you?
Whoa.
Okay.
Maybe not.
Don't ever trust a girl that asks you that question.
Hey,
What's your sign?
wow.
Hey, what's your sign?
What's
Wow.
your
Wow.
sign? Are you kidding me? Come on.
So
I
anyways,
bet
you can do
Sam
that.
asks his girl, what's his sign?
I bet you he does.
What's your sign?
That's after the second roll comes in at sushi.
Yeah.
It's a foul on Annie.
I wonder how much Sam's social life gets benefited by his gigantic social media followings.
He doesn't have a gigantic social media following.
He has a
Sam
gigantic.
Levitt?
Oh, no. We're talking about...
Oh, we were talking
Oh, you're
about
talking about
Sushi
Sushi Sam?
Yeah.
I was talking about Sam Levitt. I
Oh,
gotta imagine.
Sam could drop that like at the bar.
Yeah.
He could like casually be like,
could.
"Oh, I have a notification or something," and like just like let the amount of TikTok followers he has like linger over, you know.
Yeah,
and
yeah. Oh,
My-
look at
my
that
favorite
1.3
part-
million.
my-
Yeah.
My favorite part about talking about Sushi Sam here is he has these like unreal reactions, like he's like upset, but he's just like loving this.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
He's absolutely loving it. In fact, I bet you he probably plays these clips on his dates. What do you
Wow.
think, Annie?
What if
Local
yes.
radio station talks about me all the
like
time.
has Sam exactly? Has Sushi Sam done that? And has Sam Levitt ever taken out like one of his reels and been like,
That's what I'm wondering.
or like I'm the end of the year guy, you know?
Hey, did you recognize my... What if I just did this? Okay, close your eyes. And now the 2022 season
Sam
has come
Levitt
to an
needs to
end.
call in and let us know if he's ever done that on a date.
But let me ask you this, Annie. If a guy did that to you on a date, when it's not Sam, but like just, this is what I'm famous for, wouldn't you be like, okay, dude?
Yeah, I would. My
I
guess
don't
is
feel
Sam
like that
Levitt
doesn't
hasn't
play.
done that. I mean, you know what I mean?
Just wondering.
It's a little right. It's a little.
Does that card play or not?
it
I feel like
doesn't
it
play.
doesn't
It doesn't
play.
play.
It doesn't play.
How you play it might matter.
No, I don't think that card
No?
plays.
Or maybe if you're very impressed by social media influence, like you know,
Yeah.
like if you want to be rolling with like maybe you want to appear in some reels or something. I don't know.
I'm just
You
wondering
know?
if it's an appeal. Like, oh, that's Sam. He's got 1 million followers. I'll
I think it's a little.
Draft
I
off
think it's a
his
little flex. I
followers,
think it's a
you know.
little flex
a
for
slight
Sam.
flex.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I'm only asking questions. I'm not offering any opinion. I'm only asking questions. Okay, back to Jeff Passan, because as we mentioned, he wrote a long and I think very balanced and thoughtful discussion of not only pointing out what the Dodgers are doing, but also pointing out clubs that could spend more and don't. Also pointing out that the system isn't working. And here's the paragraph that I think, even though it's like smack in the middle of this gigantic 7,000 word story, I think this is the most important paragraph in the story. Quoting, "It's clear by now that the punitive elements the most recent collective bargaining agreement put in place, the luxury tax, the qualifying offer system, draft pick punishment, are anti-spending members that just don't apply to some. The Mets have spent exceptional amounts of money and been okay.
Mm-hmm.
The Dodgers, this is the one I would highlight if it was the old thing in high school where you put the highlighter into the book, you know. This is the sentence I'd highlight.
Yeah.
The Dodgers clearly see money as a competitive advantage they're willing to flaunt."
Well, why wouldn't you? If you could use that advantage, you're going to use every advantage in the book you can. That is what is frustrating, and I get that it's frustrating for fans because they're not breaking any rules. And in fact, Jeff Passan points out here, they were kind of up at, they were not in a good place with the whole Frank McCourt deal for the Dodgers about 10 years ago or so, a little over 10 years ago. So they had to work their way back from that. They were fortunate enough to get bought by the Guggenheim Group, which is not afraid to spend some money,
right.
And they brokered a really good TV deal, et cetera, et cetera. But let's be real. If this was your team, if this was the case in San Diego, and you're a Padres fan and your team is spending the most in all of baseball, would you be like, you know what, I'm going to write a letter to ownership and be like, you need to stop doing that because it's not fair to these other teams?
Right.
You probably wouldn't. You might
No.
be like, hey, yeah, we got a competitive advantage, but hey, it sucks for you guys. You know what I mean? Like you might realize it's happening, but you're not. You're happy your team is spending, and that's kind of that.
Right. And again, it's not. I do agree with Passan, and therefore, to some extent, with Rosenthal. Okay, in that,
Still want to see the one-on-one matchup.
yeah, back him down, straight down to the block.
They should do that and raise money.
Dish me the rock.
Go ahead.
Even though LA has these built-in structural advantages that are massive and real, they also aren't sitting on their wealth. They are perpetually reinvesting in their product.
And they have really good technology. They have some of the best technology for pitchers and for hitters, which I've learned about through their beat writers and whatnot. And they're ahead of the game in some ways. But look, they also had a lot of injuries last year. So I'm not saying that it always works out, right? I mean, we've talked about the pitcher injuries that they've been having, but they do seem to put it back in to bettering their team.
Yeah.
And I just quickly, sorry, Craig,
No.
KG in the chat says, I would get tired of it after a while if this was our team. The thrill of sports is the competition. And absolutely, KG, I think that's kind of what Jeff Passan is also saying. After a while, if the same team wins over and over and over, you just get bored. And that's when you're like, I'm out of here.
It gets
Right.
But that
I'd
hasn't
get bored
happened
doing
yet.
that too.
Yeah.
I mean, Adam Paul says it never gets boring. It gets boring, dude. I hate just from a coaching standpoint. I hate playing against teams that I know we're going to destroy.
But
It's no fun. It's no fun.
You could argue, though, that hasn't happened in baseball yet. It hasn't happened since the Yankees.
I don't think it's ever going to happen in baseball for the sense of like baseball is baseball. I mean, like the worst. I mean, you could get like a high school team could like hang around with somebody just because it's a stupid sport, right? It's
right.
like because it's just dumb things happen. I mean, that happens all the time in baseball. But if they were continuing to win over and over and over again, eventually it's going to be like, well, what's our goal now? What are we trying to do? Win 10 straight? Like,
Right.
It's hard to set up goals. My question for you two is, as we're talking about these leagues, right? Again, this is a league problem, not a Dodger problem. The
Right.
rules are the rules, and they're exploiting said rules to their advantage with the resources that they have. That is their right to do. It makes the league look bad, I think, more than it makes the Dodgers look bad. Is it annoying? Yes. What is your idea of a perfect league? If you could make, like, what type of league is a perfect league? Because I ask the same question when people complain about baseball, and we got to change the rules for XYZ because the game is this, the game is that, the game is that. I always ask, well, what is your ideal baseball game? What's the score? How long did it take? And everything else. So for a league, and all of us like different sports and different leagues, what is your idea for a league? Would you rather have two teams be really good and everybody else stinks, and you have two super teams in a championship, which a lot of casuals love to have? Or do you want to see a competitive league where it's a battle for every spot and everybody's good, but not everybody's great? I mean, there's different ways you can look at it, but for you, what is your ideal of a perfect sports league? Any sport. Perfect sports league.
Okay, so let me just address one thing broadly, because that's obviously like a gigantic, we could do 4 hours, or do a really, really big podcast kind of thing. I am very much in favor of transparency, and I believe transparency is a path to a more perfect league. And what do I mean by that? Okay, I'm going to give an example of a sport that I know you guys don't love, but I believe is better at this stuff than other leagues, and that is the National Basketball Association. They have gone through their labor pains. They have gone through their lockouts. They have gone through their strife. And in the end, they opened the books. They opened the books. The NBA opened the books to the players. Everyone is working on the same set of data, and they use that data to set the cap and set the floor and set the apron levels every year, and everyone knows it. It's an algorithm. Everyone has it's open source, so to speak. Baseball's never opened the books. They've never done it.
I don't think they ever will.
They probably never will.
They're part of a club.
But if they did,
if
they did, it would be a more perfect league, because then the players would know what the revenues were truly, what the P&L was truly, and they could set the number.
So you like having teams that are 36-7 and teams are 6-37?
Every league has bad and good teams. The White Sox lost 121 games.
I'd rather have the most balance as possible. And the other problem with that is I don't like player-driven leagues. As a fan, I don't. It's good for the players in the NBA, right? But I think it leads to the worst product on the field and on the court because they run everything and they go to the teams that they want to, and it's not a competitive balance in sports. Whereas the NFL, which, by the way, sucks for players. That league sucks for players unless you're a top quarterback. The non-guaranteed,
the worst league for players.
It's the worst league for players. But I tell you what, it's the most competitive and it's the most exciting on the field in terms of anybody can win and everybody's got a chance. You kind of need somewhere in between, right? Take care of your players, but also at the same time, you got to have some type of competitiveness to you. And I don't like the not playing every game and all this other stuff is just it gets really out of hand watching sports. So from an on field, I agree with you in terms of like the money side of things.
That's all I'm presenting.
But like where do you want the league to look like? I want teams that can compete every single night. And teams that want to compete every single night.
Yeah.
And the fact that you don't know who's going to make the playoffs at the beginning of the season, you don't know who's going to win, and everybody's got a chance. I mean, to me, that is the ideal league, and I think a lot of leagues are getting away from that to try to have like the one social media team that all of and it's mostly catered to people that don't like sports really want to see, like the Chiefs, like the Warriors for a long time, or like when LeBron was on the Cavs, or I mean you could go through it now with the Dodgers and and it used to be the Yankees, that one like team that had so many great players in the super team. I would rather have a bunch of good teams than two great teams.
Interesting stuff to be sure. Hey, I'd like it to have promotion and relegation. That forces every team in the league to fight from the beginning to the end of the year. And
I think a salary floor, even if you're not going to do a cap, like a salary,
Well,
having
they
to
need both.
spend a certain amount.
you can't have one without the
They
other.
need both
yeah.
because you gotta if the A's had to spend a certain amount of money, they'd be like, all right, well we got to go get somebody. Let's go sign Teoscar Hernandez. And now he's not on the Dodgers, right? Because he's on the A's. And the Pirates got to go sign somebody. So it's like, well, we were going to go get this guy, but you know what? We have to spend a little bit more money. Let's go get Tanner Scott because we need to get you need both.
You need both. Let's take a break. When we come back, I've teased it twice, so we've got to pay off. Spring training ABS system coming to Peoria, plus Braden's football segment part 2, NFC Championship. All that right after this on The Fan. Listen to Inside San Diego Baseball with Sam Levitt, Wednesdays, 7 to 9 p.m. right here on 97.3 The Fan and on our YouTube page. Sam will talk all things Padres baseball, keep you up to date on the latest hot stove rumors. So many directions you can go. And, then we have to fit it into these segment brackets and lock things in. So I just did want to mention briefly, because I want to keep us on track and moving forward, that today and this morning, The Athletic printed a number of new details, courtesy of Evan Drellich, about what will happen this spring. I think a lot of us have just kind of either forgotten about this or, failed to recognize its interest. But automatic ball strike system of some sort is coming to Big League Baseball. Probably next year. 2 years at the way outside. Right? Like that'd be the latest would be on the start of the new CBA. Yeah. But I think it's coming next year. And the reason I think that's the case is because they're testing it in big league spring training this year. And it will be the challenge system. It'll be a system whereby, yes, the home plate umpire is making every ball and strike call, but simultaneously an automated ball strike system is quietly making its own choice on those pitches. And then each team will have two challenges that either the catcher or the hitter or the pitcher could ask the umpire for, at which point, just like it is when Novak Djokovic thought his ace was in and the line judge called it out, that they go to Hawkeye, and then it'll boop, show you boop, in or out. That's literally what's going to happen is they'll tap their helmet or whatever, or the pitcher will tap his glove and say, give me a challenge, and then it'll go right to the ABS and whoop, it'll show you whether it was actually in or out according to the computer.
Yeah.
Crazy got some pretty good technology sounds.
Yes, I agree. This is absolutely coming. It's going to be in spring training. There's a number of domino effects that this is going to have. And, some interesting notes there. For example, like the shape of the strike zone is different from a human to a robo ump. It's like more rectangular with the robo ump. Also, like on an 0-2 count, when the strike zone is getting a little bit more small, it's getting smaller. Right. The robo ump's going to keep it the same as it normal is, but like just the human element of it shrinks it a little bit. So some things for players to get used to. Players how players have the dugout iPads. I'm sure people have seen them looking at these in game. So players will be allowed to review pitch locations and how they likely would have been called by the robo-ump via an application called ProTabs. Though the app will have no video, pitches will update after each at-bat. So you're going to kind of see in real time, like how you would have done in those situations. And it's going to be interesting. It's the same as like the strikes, pitch clock. Takes a little bit of getting used to. Some players will really gravitate toward it right away, and others will be a little slower to come around, but it's there nonetheless.
Yeah. That's going to be a really interesting aspect of it is the data building nature of it, of guys just coming back to the dugout and going, oh, I could have challenged this pitch.
And while that seems like, players would want that, they would want to know that, there are many players who are going to be like, too much information, and this is going to make me overthink and, make things a little bit harder. So there's going to be a balance there that depending on the player, they're going to want to strike.
Yeah, I agree. So it's going to be in various stadia in the Grapefruit and Cactus Leagues, but the Cactus League is going to have 21 games with the automated zone. 5 of 10 ballparks will have the technology. The Grapefruit League will see an average of 19 games with the ABS zone, and 8 of 13 parks are plugged in, but they actually did the math on who will be using the strike zone the most in the spring. The very most is the Diamondbacks. Obviously, they've got it in their home park. Yeah. And it's 29, but right there is San Diego with 26.
Yeah, and just for context, like the Braves use it 8 times, the Cubs use it 7 times, so they're at the top, the Padres.
Yeah, so the Padres are going to really get an opportunity to learn a lot more about this system this spring, and while it won't have an impact on the season to follow, it very well could have an impact on the following the season in
Yes.
2026.
This article states if testing goes well, robo-umps could be introduced to regular season big league games as early as the 2026 season. So there is an 11-person committee that controls rule changes, but because Major League Baseball has a majority of votes on the panel, it actually controls the process, so they can just push that through if they decide that it's time for that.
Indeed. So that's what's going on with the automatic ball strike system and how it impacts your San Diego Padres. And who knows, maybe Ron Marinaccio will challenge a call.
Rod Marinelli.
And it's going to be, you're going to see a lot of stories about this in spring training. You're going to get all the angles, players who like it, players who don't, what's working, when it's not working, mess ups. Like we're going to learn a lot more about this throughout spring training.
All right, with that, let's switch our attention to our second of two championship games on Sunday. It's time for Braden's football segment part 2, NFC Championship style.
Which will be the first game on
We went
Sunday.
reverse order, but
It's all right.
it's fine. No big
I'm
deal.
sure a lot of people in town still care about the AFC a little bit more than the NFC.
Yeah, it's the bigger game.
So, there you go.
Okay.
This game will be at noon on Fox, Annie, on Sunday.
Okay, good to know. Put it in my calendar.
Philly is favored by 6 in this one. Interesting to see how Washington handles defensive tackle Jalen Carter, running back Saquon Barkley, Commanders right guard Sam Cosmi, who faced Carter in the first 2 meetings against the Eagles, tore his right ACL against the Lions and is done for the year. It's uncertain who will start there, but the replacement won't be at Cosmi's level and must handle one of the best defenders in the NFL. As for Saquon, gained 130 yards and 3 touchdowns on just 3 of his carries versus Washington this season. 130 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 carries. The 26 others went for 2 yards or less.
Oh, wow.
Oh, well.
It's kind of Barry
Quite a
Sanders-esque
difference.
right
Yes.
there. Yeah.
He got sprung a couple of times. He's loose.
People forget that about Barry Sanders. He ran for -1 probably more than like any running back ever. But it would be like -1, 0, -1,
Yeah.
He'd
70.
probably run 50 yards for that -1, too,
He
going
would,
back
yeah.
and forth.
No kidding.
Quarterback Jalen Hurts injures his left knee in last week's divisional round playoff win over the Rams. Rushed 6 times for 71 yards before being wrestled down awkwardly in the third quarter. His only rushing stats afterward came on a kneel down at the end of the game. Barkley said he expects Jalen to be Jalen, but questions remain about just how mobile Hurts will be in the title game. These two teams played each other twice already. This is part 3. They both won their home games. Now, that being said, Washington beat Philly at the end of the season, and Jalen Hurts got a concussion in that game, was knocked out. Kenny Pickett had to play most of the game for the Eagles, and the Commanders were able to hang on at home. So there is a major factor in the one win that the Commanders had over Philadelphia. But they look pretty good so far in the postseason. I mean, going into Detroit and really taking the Lions' lunch is very impressive, despite the injuries that the Lions have had. Philly's favored by 6. Who do we like?
I'm going Commanders.
Wow.
The Darlings, the Cinderellas,
To cover or win?
to win.
Wow, outright.
To win.
Straight up.
Straight up. Underdogs for
Straight
both.
up. Now tell me that you love
Commanders,
me.
Bills, Super Bowl.
Wow. Take that, Greg.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, yeah, sorry on the right, Greg. Your Eagles are not flying out of this game, in my opinion. Per StubHub, this just came in. The Eagles-Commanders NFC Championship game is outselling the Bills-Chiefs AFC Championship game by more than double, 167%.
And
Philly,
the
man.
snow is possible to be bottled up.
Currently, the cheapest ticket on the secondary ticket site is $714.
Seems like a waste to be
For
standing in the
standing
snow.
room, yeah.
Standing in the snow.
Okay, Brandon, back to you.
Do you get
Yeah.
closer to buying the snow in the end zone?
You can.
Yes, you can just
I am
select your
going
own.
to thread the needle here, guys. And I'm going to pick the Eagles to win and the Commanders to cover, and for the game to come like down to the last play.
I do like the Eagles.
I just think the home field advantage,
Yeah. The
rookie
Eagles are the better
quarterback,
team.
and it's not even just rookie quarterback because Daniels has been so incredible, but the whole Commanders team has never been there. You know, at least together.
The Eagles are the better team. I think the Eagles probably will win, but I'm going to go with the underdog. I'm going to go with
Cliff.
Commanders.
Cliff Kingsbury did a good job with the offense. Very creative.
Yeah.
Very creative.
Very creative.
I'm on. I'd like to be different, but I'm with Craig on this one. I think Philly wins, but I think the Commanders make it within 3.
Oh,
So I think
close game.
they make it close. Who knows if it snows there or not? Did we get a weather report, Annie?
Oh, wait.
Weather.com.
Weather.com.
Where are we? We're in
Lincoln Financial Field
Lincoln, yes.
in Philadelphia.
Don't type Lincoln, Nebraska.
Yeah, that might be a.
Oh, wow. We are at 32 to, no, 40 degrees on Sunday.
Warm.
40 degrees is your high.
Balmy.
So 40
In
degrees
Philly.
in Philly, 32 degrees in Kansas City.
Okay.
God,
Wow.
it is so miserable in Philly all the time.
72 degrees probably here in San Diego. Actually, we might get some rain, which we need.
Go and get your
Sunday.
water ice.
I didn't really fully understand why Philly people were so miserable until I went there, and I realized why they're so miserable. It's just miserable there all the time.
Yeah.
You guys been to Philly?
I have for a game, but I don't.
always
It was
as a little
cold.
kid.
but
It's
it
always
wasn't
cloudy
like,
and cold, and everybody's. It's just a depressing city, with good cheesesteaks. But that's about it. What's the stat to know?
Oh, wait. I had to look at the
Yeah, it's
weather,
right
so
there.
now I got to get back. Okay. This is the
Keeping
fifth
her on her
NFC
toes.
Championship game between NFC East teams, the first since 1986. The previous two winners, the 1982 Washington team and the 1986 Giants,
Washington team.
Won the Super Bowl too.
won the Super Bowl too.
Yeah. That's good.
Bold
Bold prediction is you.
Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts will combine for at least 42 rushing attempts.
Wow.
I could buy that.
Okay, now hang on. Break that down. Is Saquon Barkley going to get 30 rushes in a game? Has he done that this year?
I think he has multiple times.
Okay.
Here's no team in the league invites opponents to rush more than the Commanders, who play nickel 95% of the time against 12 and 21 personnel, which would be one running back, two tight ends, two
I'd
running
buy
backs, one
this.
tight
I'd
end.
buy this bold prediction.
Washington has a negative 10% pass rate over expectation, lowest in the NFL.
Okay.
They can't stop the run.
I buy it.
Saquon has
buy
run
it, too.
30 or more times in a game once, and it was 31. And his others, on average, are about 26. So just doing the gambly gamble here, okay? If you were going to bet this, that means you're betting that Jalen Hurts will run 16 or more times.
I mean, how many of those are going to be the brotherly shove?
So I'm going to go under. And if this was something that I could pick on underdog, I would pick under on combining these two rushing carries and putting it under. I'd say under 40. 42 is a lot. That's
I buy
a lot.
it. It's cold.
You
What
have
wins?
to hold the ball a long time to
What
run that
wins
many
in the
times.
playoffs? Running the football, stopping the run. They can't stop the run. Eagles can run the ball very well.
Commanders are going to control the ball too long for them to run 42
They
times.
run 42 times.
Okay.
Well, that would be a
That would be on
a-
par with my predictions.
I don't know. Cliff likes to air it out, man. Cliff Kingsbury, Big 12
Daniels
guy.
extends drives with his legs. I don't like them to hold the ball enough to run 42 times. You'd probably have to hold the ball 45 minutes to run 42 times.
They ran it 34 times last week against the Rams.
And that's not 42. And
I
that
think
was in
they-
a snowstorm.
I think they probably, Saquon kept ripping off 90-yard touchdown
Yeah, he did. That's a fair
runs.
point. I mean, if some of the runs go 70 yards,
Yeah, well, hey.
shortens your need for another run.
I'll
because
buy it for fun.
The run went all the way.
I think they'll run a lot.
Speaking of betting, here's your betting nugget. The Commanders are 5-3 outright, 6-2 against the spread as underdogs this season,
Look at Annie.
and they have won outright 3 times in a row. They are hot. Meanwhile, the Eagles have won 9 straight games at home.
And 5-4 gets the spread, though.
But 5-4 ATS. So I'm loving my side of this. Eagles to eke out a win
Same.
on the money line, and Commanders to make it close and perilous. But I'm more like I see victory conditions for Washington in this game. Many of them involve a superstar effort on the other side of the ball, or something like Austin Eckler having a wildly good game.
Right.
You know
Which
what I
he
mean?
had the last game.
Yeah, like having just a wildly good game. Like, whoa, I didn't think he could do that. They're going to need a turnover or two. And here's something I know for sure from Underdog from a missed play last weekend. Jalen Hurts ain't turning the ball over. He just doesn't turn the ball over.
That's why he's had so much success. In
He has
the NFL.
no picks. Like, he'll just never throw a pick. In fact, he never throws balls that could be intercepted. Like, Jalen Hurts doesn't just wing an 18-yard out into double
He doesn't
coverage.
panic.
No,
Yeah.
he will take the 4-yard check down every time over
down?
sending it over the middle late, you know? So that's another reason why I think that Philly's going to win, is because I just don't see them turning the ball over in the game. And I think Washington could turn the ball over in the game.
Officiating nugget.
I agree. Referee Sean Hockley. Is this Ed Hockley's son?
Yes,
Yes,
it
it
is.
is.
Oh, my
Is
God.
he as ripped?
Shout out Ed.
He's more of a cut.
Okay, cutting
Then
out
they
ribs.
bulked.
Yeah.
Worked the Commanders' Week 15 victory over the Saints. Remember the Saints? His
We
crew
almost picked
flagged
them.
his crew flagged Washington 10 times, including twice for roughing the passer. He also worked the Eagles' Week 6 victory over the Browns, throwing 5 flags against Philadelphia, including once for roughing the passer. Overall, he tied for the third most flags for roughing the passer. So he's a little, quick with that challenge.
Here's the thing.
Quick
They're
trigger.
going to call roughing the passer against Hurts because he's not passing.
He's never passing.
He's running, or
gonna
when he does,
outsmart
it's on a
you,
bootleg.
Sean.
Can't wait for the first roughing the runner penalty this weekend.
Yeah, no kidding. Interesting discussion. Here's the thing. I'm thinking this might, I don't know. Low key, I feel like there's at least a chance that this game is closer than Chiefs-Bills, even though you would think the opposite.
That
right?
always happens in the NFL. The
Yeah.
games that you expect to be blowouts become close, and the ones that you expect to be
Yeah.
close end up being multi-score affairs.
I could totally see the Eagles up 4 and Washington with the ball at the end of the game.
That would be
driving.
exciting.
This is always
Make it a good game. We always just want good games, right?
this is always the best round for any football playoff. Is the semifinals before the championship. The conference championship games in the NFL, the college football playoff semifinals, high school football semifinals, because everybody is trying to make it. Trying to make it to the championship game. We are one game away from making it to the championship game. Everything we put in the offseason, all the BS, all the lifting, the training, the working out, we are that close, and they lay it on the line. And then when they get to the championship game, it's whether or not, like, either the team really likes just being there or the team tries to make it business, as a business trip, and you get a little bit more disparity in the championship game compared to the semifinals. So I think this is going to be a big weekend, especially after the weekend we had last weekend in the NFL. This is usually the best weekend.
Yeah. Looking forward to it. Should be fun. Braden's football segment. We have a slightly split room. 2/3 took Buffalo to go to the Super Bowl. I took the Chiefs.
But you're rooting for Buffalo.
But I'm rooting for Buffalo. And I'm very transparent about this stuff. I'm not like Skip Bayless or something where I'm going to form my opinion around being right.
I mean, are we
I
all
don't
going to be
care
like
if I'm wrong.
super surprised on Monday if it's Chiefs,
Well,
Eagles?
Well,
No.
they're the favorites, so no.
Yeah.
But if it
Can't say I
changes
would
it up
be
a little bit, that'll
surprised.
be kind of fun.
Yeah.
I'm all for that.
Yeah.
I am too. But I'll be rooting for Buffalo, and I will be rooting for Washington. But I do think the best game would be Chiefs-Eagles, followed by Bills-Eagles. I feel like the Commanders, if they make it to the Super Bowl, they'll be like a 10-point underdog or a 9-point underdog on launch.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if the game will be that close.
Yeah. I would agree with
The
that.
storylines aren't as good.
Yeah.
At least with the storylines with the Eagles in there, it's like either the Eagles play the Chiefs, and it's Andy Reid against his former team, place that he couldn't win the big game at, in the place that he wins the big game at all the time. And then if it's not, then it's Josh Allen trying to go against the team that won the Super Bowl not too long ago, right? Can Josh Allen finally get the game done? But if Josh Allen's playing against the Commanders, they're like, oh, well, he's got the Commanders.
Yeah, if it's Bills Commanders, at that point, there's two storylines. There's Jaden Daniels on the other side.
Yeah.
And then on the Bills side, it is, can the Bills finally win the Super Bowl?
Yes.
Right.
And get over the hump and not be 0-4 in the Super Bowl and
After
finally get that
those
win.
early exits from the playoffs and
Can
so much
Josh Allen do
potential.
it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the Daniels thing would be like, is he the next greatest
Oh,
quarterback
for
ever?
sure.
Yeah.
Right.
But in the end, the whole country will be rooting for Buffalo in that game because they'll be like, give the Bills their first championship, small town, upstate New York.
Commanders have
They've
won
been
some
grinding
already.
for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't they win one here?
Who, the Redskins?
Washington?
I mean, the
Did they
Washington
win one
football
here?
team?
Or
Yeah,
did
they won
okay,
one
they
here in
did win.
1987.
That's right.
Doug Williams, Super Bowl MVP, threw 5 touchdowns in the second quarter alone.
Was that the first Super Bowl we hosted?
No. Maybe.
Second? First?
Maybe. That I'm not sure. I remember being a Boy Scout at Philmont and talking about that game with some troop that was in Washington that came from D.C. It's just my random memory. Sorry, why I know it's like the
That
late 80s,
was.
mid-late 80s.
That was the first Super Bowl
First Super Bowl here.
1988.
that we hosted. It was 88,
Yeah.
and the Redskins beat the Broncos 42-10.
Yeah, blowout.
98, the Broncos beat the Packers 31-14 or 24. And then I
Also not
remember
a good game.
I remember the all pirate one when we had the lighthouse logo, Buccaneers and Raiders, and Gruden just dismantled his former team, who didn't change any of their calls, and they knew
Yeah,
everything that was going to
yeah.
happen.
And the center that went to Tijuana.
Yeah.
And just the whole, that was a mess.
03.
That was a mess. I remember Higgins and I did a post-game show on that from the old Randy Jones place. Anyways, we're done with that. And the Sports Fix is up next. Cool. It's Friday. It's 12 o'clock.
You ain't got no job.
Ain't got anything to do, so why don't you hang out with us? Annie and Elsten for the next 2 hours. Gwen and Chris after that from 2 to 6. Scraby all by himself from 6 to 7. Just hang. Hang with us. Chill. Weekend's almost here. And we're going to get you ready for that weekend that will be. With all the sports news of the day for Friday, January 24th, 2025, your 12 o'clock sports fix. Annie's got a very Italian name to present to you in baseball.
The sad thing is that even though we've been talking about him now for the last hour,
All day.
I don't know if it's Marinaccio. The Padres have acquired right-handed pitcher Ron Marinaccio
We got him.
from the Chicago White Sox in exchange for cash considerations, the team announced this morning.
Marinaccio.
Marinaccio.
That's
Chio.
what Chio. Yes.
Okay.
The double C. Chio.
How old is he? Does it say? Are you on that page?
29.
Yeah, I'm a baseball.
29.
Okay.
He's 29 years old and 29 and 207 days. About to turn 30.
Hey.
From Toms River, New Jersey.
The Braves announced that they have signed free agent outfielder and old friend Jurickson Profar to a 3-year, $42 million deal. The MVP Sports Group client will make $12 million this year and then $15 million in each of the next 2 seasons. The Astros have discussed a deal that would send reliever Ryan Presley to the Cubs, but a source told MLB.com that Presley has yet to waive his no-trade clause, despite a report that a trade was, quote, on the verge of being completed Thursday night. Presley is entering the final year of a contract and will pay him $14 million and has a full no-trade clause based on his 10-5 rights. That's, what, 10 years, 5 something?
10
Yeah,
years
10-5.
in baseball, 5 with one team.
There you go. According to SNY's Andy Martino, talks between the Blue Jays and Pete Alonso are, quote, advancing, though nothing is imminent yet. Martino's report follows one from MLB Network insider John Heyman, who said earlier on Thursday that the Blue Jays are, quote, still working hard and trying for Alonso. But later on Thursday, Sportsnet's Shi Davidi reported that discussions between Toronto and Alonso's camp are, quote, not gaining momentum. I am like scraping the bottom of the barrel for some MLB news.
know.
You know? So
It's
that's
so
what
much
you guys are
easier in
getting.
this
Right.
more
spring and
weeks.
summer.
Couple more weeks.
JJ Hoffman on the chat says Profar posted a thank you to San Diego fans on social media. Go out there, check it out. That's very cool.
Awesome. Here's Braden with some stuff. Football, basketball, college, all of that.
Mostly NFL today. Raiders have a new head coach. They've reached an agreement with Pete Carroll
Hey, he's coming back.
to become the franchise head coach on a 3-year deal with a 4-year team option, according to Adam Schefter. Carroll's 74 years old. He turns 74 on September 15th. Is one of 4 head coaches to have led teams to both a college football national championship and the Super Bowl. The others are Barry Switzer, Jimmy Johnson, and Jim Harbaugh. Carroll will also be the Raiders' 5th coach, including interim coaches, since the franchise moved to Las Vegas from Oakland in 2020. The others were John Gruden, Rich Bisaccia, Josh McDaniels, and Antonio Pierce. Bisaccia and Pierce were interim, and then Pierce, of course, was the head coach after being an interim. Carroll will be the team's 9th coach, including interim, since Raiders owner Mark Davis took over upon the death of his father, Al Davis, in 2011. The others were Hugh Jackson, Dennis Allen, Tony Sperano, Jack Del Rio, John Gruden, Bisaccia, McDaniels, and Pierce. As such, Carroll represents stability and experience from a team needing both, especially since Gruden was forced to resign amid his email controversy in October of 2021. A lot of changes for the Raiders all the time, and they're trying to land on the 74-year-old with Pete Carroll. An interesting hire nonetheless.
Very.
And I get the whole, hey, well, Pete Carroll's got the energy of,
Yeah,
he's 74.
I know.
I mean, you haven't been around him the last
Maybe
couple
like
years.
Tom feels like he can really direct things through Pete.
I'm waiting for Tom to just pull a Jerry Jones and hire himself.
Yeah.
Right. Is Pete just a cover for Tom?
Do you know who'd be a hell of an offensive coordinator for for Pete Carroll? Tom Brady.
Tom Brady.
Why not
Might
put
as
him
well
in?
hire himself. He'll still do both jobs though.
Right, of course. Yeah.
He'll be on the field with a mic calling the game. Why does he only do the Raider games? Oh, he's calling the offense. Speaking of offensive coordinators, Texans have fired offensive coordinator Bobby Slowick after 2 years in Houston. Houston also fired offensive line coach Chris Strausser and assistant offensive line coach Cole Popovich, according to sources, who added that the decision on the remainder of the offensive staff will be made when the team hires a new offensive coordinator. Texans won the AFC South in 2024 and reached the divisional round for the second consecutive season, but the offense struggled throughout the year. The Monday after the season concluded, Coach D'Amico Ryan said he wanted to take a week to evaluate the staff, and when asked about Slowick's performance, he was short and didn't give a ringing endorsement. I think overall with Bobby, I saw some growth, Ryan said. I saw some improvement throughout the year. So 2 years after that, they also had, half their offense get injured during the season. That's probably not a big, not pretty easy to do. But anyway, they're looking for a new offensive staff in reality down in Houston. Buccaneers have hired their head coach. The Jags have hired their new head coach. It's Buccaneers offensive coordinator Liam Cohen. Told the team Thursday night that he was leaving to become the Jags head coach. The two sides verbally reached an agreement on a contract overnight. The decision capped a 2-day saga in which Cohen pulled himself from consideration for the Jaguars job, then agreed to a contract extension with the Buccaneers that would have made him the NFL's highest paid coordinator, and then changed his mind again after Jacksonville reached out to ask him to reconsider after it parted ways with general manager Trent Baalke on Wednesday afternoon. Cohen traveled to Jacksonville on Thursday afternoon, met with owner Shad Khan and interim general manager Ethan Woe. A source told Lane that Cohen reached out to Tampa Bay coach Todd Bowles earlier Thursday night to tell him about his renewed interest in the Jags job, but Cohen did not speak with anyone else in the Bucs front office. So he applies for the job. Jags want to hire him. He takes himself out of the job consideration, goes back to Tampa, which gives him a contract extension to make him the highest paid offensive coordinator in the league. Jags call him back and go, "Are you sure you don't want to be? What if we fire our GM?" And then he decides to be the new head coach in Jacksonville with an interim general manager before they hire an actual general manager that's not now tied to the guy. What is going on? Am I the only one questioning both parties here and their decision making? I mean, the Jags hired a guy that has just flip-flopped 3 times in a week, and then Cohen decided to sign with a team that waited. They're only hiring him because they fired their GM. They're going to bring somebody else in.
Yeah.
How do we know that guy likes you? And if he doesn't, and when stuff hits the fan, who's going to go? It's going to be you. It's not going to be him.
It's very messy.
This is why the Jags never win. This is why the Jags never win. I mean, this is business malpractice. This is front office malpractice by the Jags and the new head coach. Am I the only one? Am I missing something here?
Not really.
It's
not
weird.
Really, no.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
man.
Jacksonville doing Jacksonville things is what I would say.
Can't wait for them to play 4 games in Europe. Bills will be without starting safety Taylor Rapp for Sunday's AFC Championship game against the Chiefs, according to Sean McDermott. Rapp, who's dealing with back and hip injuries, being ruled out, puts rookie Cole Bishop in position to start the game alongside starting safety DeMar Hamlin. Bishop, who's 22, has started 4 games this season because of injuries and played in 16, primarily on special teams. That is a major factor for the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills game. Annie, do you want to move your pick now?
Nope. I want to keep it right where it is.
She's still locked in and a backer. That'll do it. That'll do it for me on that front. We do have all 3 local teams in college basketball playing this weekend, but we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
In a different segment.
And yes, so that means it's my turn, and here we go.
Take us home for 3 minutes.
San Diego FC's first home match is now 30 days away. If you do happen to be a part of the Supporters Union, today is the last day to purchase $18 per match season tickets. It goes up to $25 starting tomorrow. Contact SDFC. The San Diego Gulls are in Alberta this weekend. This is your local team preview. San Diego Gulls are in Alberta this weekend. I hope they brought their cold weather coats. It's Gulls versus Calgary Wranglers from the Scotiabank Saddledome in Calgary Saturday night.
Saddledome.
The Saddledome.
It looks like a saddle.
It does.
That's great. Have you been to the Saddledome?
I have not been to the Saddledome. We did not. Calgary was not in the league when I was in the league. The Calgary affiliate was in Stockton. So instead of getting to go to the Scotiabank Saddledome, I went to the Stockton Arena.
Oh, man.
So consider that as you will.
Stockton, what a place.
It's a place that exists. And by the way, it's the United States' furthest inland port.
That's why there's Stockton ports.
Good to know.
Fun
Didn't
fact
we-
I learned.
Didn't we talk about that last year at this time?
Quite possibly.
I think we
think
did.
so.
Yeah.
It's just one of those fun facts I have. Stockton, United States,
This has been Dad Facts
furthest
with Craig.
inside inland port.
Brought to you by the Stockton Ports.
The San Diego Seals are off this week. The San Diego Sockers are in the DFW area to take on the Mesquite Outlaws tomorrow at 5 o'clock. They are looking for a 9th straight win on the season. The San Diego Mojo host Indy Ignite tonight, 7 o'clock at Viejas Arena. The Mojo are 2-2 on the season, but looking for their first home win. Go check them out. NBA news now. Charlotte second-year forward Brandon Miller has a wrist injury that will require surgery to repair a ligament and end his season. Bummer second season for Miller. The Alabama product was hurt early in the year, came back, held to just 27 games due to that previous injury. He did average 21 points per game while he was out there. So good news for the future of Charlotte, but Charlotte's future is muddled anyway because they are just perpetually terrible. They are 11-29. This season. Last night, the Lakers really kind of whomped the Boston Celtics 117-96. A little bit of a surprising final result. Clippers rode past the woeful Washington Wizards 110-93. No surprise there. Victor Wembanyama scored 30, but not 31, as the Spurs beat Indiana 140-110 last night. Dallas got a big win over Oklahoma City in OKC 121-115. There were just 3 games in the NBA tonight. Portland at Charlotte, Cleveland at Philadelphia, New Orleans happy to escape the snow. They are in Memphis to take on the Grizzlies. Last night in the NHL, Alex Ovechkin scored in a 3-0 Capitals win at Seattle, and Ovi is now 20 goals away from the great one, Wayne Gretzky's all-time NHL goals record. So the Ovechkin watch is back on. He is inside 20 now to catch and pass Wayne Gretzky. Also, the Anaheim Ducks beat up on the Pittsburgh Penguins at what used to be called the Pond, 5-1. Meanwhile, tonight there are 4 games on the ice of the NHL, none involving our local teams, but our beloved Winnipeg Jets are at home.
Your beloved
My
Winnipeg
beloved
Jets.
Winnipeg Jets are at home hosting UHC. And that's it for me. It's fine.
It's a guaranteed foul every time you
I know.
mention
I'll
the
take
game.
I'll take one. I'll take one.
It's hard to make it through a game without fouling.
Yeah, and I mean factually they are a team that exists in the NHL and will sometimes interact with our teams, beloved or not.
The
Your
Padres
beloved
also
Jets.
announced that they are leaving their City Connects, their pink and
Yes, they
seal
are.
ones.
Yes.
Last
mint
year,
ones.
this year.
Yeah, this is the last year in 2025, and then they will go to a new City Connect theme in 2026.
And when people are freaking out, that's the contract that everybody signed with Nike. They're going to
Yeah,
have a brand new one every
yeah.
3 years.
And that's also
we
to-
heard about that happening last year.
Right. People then will go buy such new
Yes.
themes and colors
There'll
and
be a new
whatnot.
one.
So that's it's the churn of the baseball season, but it'll be exciting to see what their new City Connect is. And they announced all their bobbleheads as well.
Yes, they did. And we can get into that
Yeah.
at some
So
point.
it's on their website too. I mean, you
Yeah,
can go check it
yeah.
out. But yeah, some cool ones in there for sure.
I wonder
they
what
always do
they're.
a great job with
Yeah, exactly.
I wonder what
Yep.
they're going to have the new. Do you think they unveil the new ones in the second half of the season this year? I mean, they have to be almost done, right? In order for Major League for the uniforms, how they work, Major League Baseball gets
Oh,
this
I
done
do
2 or
think-
3 years in advance, and then they
Yes.
finally get to wear them.
They were working on these for years now.
Right.
They were done with mentally done with the pink and mint ones for a while, and they
Right.
moved on to the next ones. Right.
So they've
I
probably
bet you
been.
they do announce it at the end of the year.
I think so, too.
Yeah. Or second half of the season.
If things are going bad, they announce it in the second half of the season. Otherwise, it's a winter announcement.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, yeah. When did they announce the? Well, I guess it was in season. It was the season of.
Yeah, I think so.
But that was when everybody had nobody had them yet.
right.
Yeah.
Everybody
yeah,
was still
yeah.
and you're like, oh, when are they gonna? And then it was, we didn't know the day. They just here it is. They just showed up with all of them one day. Here,
Well, I'm
just so you know.
curious, to be sure. I'm
Me
curious.
too. I kind of, I'll be honest with you guys, kind of hope they go to a throwback of sorts.
The blue and orange,
A more retro.
like everybody
like a
in the chat
retro
has
kind
said
of City
today.
Connect.
The blue
I'm
and
a
orange.
fan of those.
The blue and orange.
Any kind of retro-y I would go with, or blue and orange, or the
Pinstripes.
gold and brown kind of. I know that that's kind of what they are, but the retro look, I guess that'd be too close to what they have. But
See, that's like with the City Connect.
Yeah.
It's usually not like it's not just a throwback, and it's usually colors that are not like their main colors. That's why I think like the blue and orange would be like a City Connect.
Have we considered navy
Like,
blue
look
and
at
white?
what the Pirates are. Don't the Pirates have those cool,
No.
like,
Stop it. Stop it.
That should have been a foul.
Stop it. That's a T. That's a technical.
Yeah.
Bang.
no,
And
they
he's
Pirates.
shooting
Annie,
one
go
after
shoot.
this.
Annie, go shoot 2, and you get the possession back. You get to make the next segment, whatever you want. She's got the ball.
Hey,
You've got the ball.
That's how we
That's a
should do
T.
this.
Yeah.
We should.
You know what?
Whoever
you know
wins,
what?
right.
See ya, buddy.
We
You're
should
out
have
of here.
like a little hoop in here, and
He's off the screen. No more for him.
I get to
Guy's been kicked out.
repo a segment. You know,
Fine.
that is a
Completely
T.
fine.
My thing with uniforms, if you're a sports team, you cannot have white or black be one of your 2 main colors because those are like the accent colors. Every team has white and black. Pick a
Right.
different color.
Right.
Otherwise,
Yes.
the uniforms are bland.
Yeah.
They don't pop. You need them to pop. That was a rough era of Padre baseball.
It really was, and it's just kind of a reminder that they got it like deadly wrong for a period of time.
After they got
like
rid of the
so
stand.
wrong. Yes,
I mean, they could have kept the same. I mean, just have. And we're not even asking for I don't even care what colors you pick.
they got it so.
Just
wrong
make
before.
sure you have 2 of them, and white and black don't count.
Yeah.
Everybody gets white and black. That's
Yeah.
part of the deal.
I still wouldn't. I mean, I wouldn't be terribly mad if they. Would it be just? It wouldn't be enough, right? If they just reversed it, if they went black, mint, and pink instead of white, mint, and
It
No,
wouldn't
like
be
your
enough.
like
It
your
wouldn't
kid.
be enough.
yeah, like my reverse
you're,
kit.
you're no. I think they're going to go away from the mint and the
pink in
and the
general.
pink, which has gotten a good play. I mean, the mint and these
Yeah,
these
good
City
play.
Connects have gotten. I feel like they've gotten their money's worth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
big moments for the Padres. A lot of people bought the color scheme and wore it every Friday night, so that was cool.
Yeah, I was a sucker. I bought it. So
Yeah,
now
I
what
mean,
am I
I
going
had
to
a
do
ton
with
of
that?
it. Yeah,
what
Yeah,
am
I
or
gonna
a
do
ton of
with
like
that
pink
now?
and teal,
Yeah, they gave us jerseys and a hat.
mint,
It was awesome.
whatever that color is.
I'd wear the jersey
Yeah.
once in a while on a Friday night beer fest.
Yeah, yeah. I'm curious. Is there going to be any connection? You know, using the word connect, is there going to be any
Okay.
connection from the first jersey to the second jersey, or is it going to be entirely different?
Who's gotten a second one already?
No one.
Well, the Dodgers did, but they failed in their first one so
Oh, right.
so
It was just
bad.
Los
They
Dodgers
had
or
to do
something,
it.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
super lame.
Yeah.
Somebody else has had a new one, I thought.
Really?
Or was it just the Dodgers?
It's just I just saw this story go.
Because
up
I
on
know
ABC.
it's like because we weren't in the first year to get jerseys. That means there's got to be some this year with other teams.
Yeah, we were one of the first, right?
We're the second year.
They have a cool Tony Gwynn bobblehead that they're giving out.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay. The coming change for 2026, this is from Jeff Sanders' story in the Union Tribune. The coming change for 2026 is part of the normal cycle for the Nike-produced alternate City Connect uniforms. The Rockies, Marlins, Nationals, Giants, Astros, and Red Sox will debut their second City Connect uniforms this year. The Dodgers debuted a second City Connect look last season.
Yeah, because theirs were so bad.
Yeah, the one now they've got the blueberry Pop-Tart.
Now they look like a Disney production.
Yeah.
Donald Duck.
Don't bring him up. That's a foul on you.
No, where's Rod? I'm gonna trigger Rod in the chat.
Rod just
Wherever
shows
Rod,
up like a Sandman.
Now you know what it is. It's like you mentioned
Beetlejuice.
the name Donald Duck, and Rod just like opens his eyes wherever he's at. Somebody entered
Rises
his
like the
name.
Undertaker.
That's right. Somebody entered his name. Well, I guess we'll see with the uniforms this year if they drastically change it,
Yes.
the colors and stuff.
Yeah.
Theme game partners for 2025 include Star Wars, Minecraft, Peanuts, Hello Kitty, and Harry Potter. And the Padres will also expand the number of Bark in the Park dates.
Wow.
Ruff, ruff.
Are the Cubs on their second?
Not yet, according to this story. According to this story. All right, let's take a timeout.
They are. They've already shown them.
Oh, they have?
Oh no, they haven't. No, they just announced a blue alternate. It's not their. I don't think it's their City Connect.
I agree with JJ in the chat. I think Tampa came
I
in
like it.
late and had one of the
Skateboarding,
best
right?
ones. Yeah.
They really theme theirs cool. They have like the skateboarding Ray and like their font is cool and
Yeah.
they did a good job with theirs.
Oh, the Giants will get a new one. That's good because the one where the numbers fade into the fog is lame. Okay, quick timeout. We're back and setting up the weekend in college basketball for our local teams. Right after this, we're going to play Fast Money after that, so stay tuned. It's Annie and Elsten on the Fan. Greg Elsten for Under The Biggest Fan Contest returns on January 27th. Our grand prize is a night in the Odyssey Suite with 20 tickets for you and your friends at a future Padres game. Register your name at 973thefansd.com/biggestfan and listen when we announce. We'll have names pulled each day. Ben and Woods will have one at 9. We'll have one at 1 o'clock, and then it'll be Gwen and Chris at 5:30, and those will be your 3 chances to qualify per day starting Monday. But the key is go now to 973thefansd.com/biggestfan and put in your name so that you can be in the hopper.
Do it.
So it's a virtual hopper. It's not an actual rotating cage with balls.
I wish it was.
I wish it was too.
Yeah.
It'd be
Me
more
too.
fun.
It'd be so fun.
Yeah.
Let's get another ball out of the hopper.
Attach your ding dong to it.
Oh, hello.
Whoa.
Foul on
yourself.
you. Foul
Yes.
on you for sure.
No, I'll be official here.
That is true. Okay,
Ring your bell.
I have to tell this story before we
cheeks
go any
officials.
further. As you know, the saga of will Craig's son James get a cell phone? And if so, when?
yeah. There we go.
Yeah.
That saga has been ongoing. And I have
Yes.
been the stick in the mud. I've been the one
Hold
that
your
has
ground.
been digging my heels in,
Yeah, good.
creating artificial roadblocks,
Good.
so on and so forth.
Lead the way.
But the dam broke yesterday.
Oh no.
And the phone is now going to be sooner than later.
Wow. Look at
Pro-
you caving.
maybe even this weekend. Because
Guy folded like a lawn chair.
Yep.
a situation occurred yesterday that would have been solved
Safety first for the cell phones.
had the young man had his own technology for communication.
He
It
played
does
you.
help. Yeah, he did. He
Yes.
played you.
He's got no interest in swim,
He told you.
but he knew he'd be
the
in
wrong
Lakeside.
place to go. Right.
That's right.
That okay? Now
He's-
you guys
he's spinning it on you.
You are advancing conspiracy theories that I did think of. All right? But the facts on the ground are
played.
You're
the
getting
facts on
played.
the facts on the ground are he's part of this Swim Excellence Academy. They usually have a set pool, but that pool's been like under repair for prior to when he joined.
Okay.
So they have been in a like, okay, this day it's here, this day it's there, but
Swim vagabonds.
yeah, but
Yeah.
all week it had been at El Cap. Now, I got to start as I like to do because I like to keep my own personal responsibility front and center. I got to start with the part that I screwed up, which is that at some point, either Sunday or Monday, I think it was Sunday, but it might have been Monday, these folks, the coaches, sent out a text chain of, okay, we're going to be here, then we're going to be there, then we're right. And it was sent to my phone. And I probably even saw it, but I feel like it like came when I was golfing or at
No excuse.
some. I'm telling. I'm putting
See,
my own.
you know what? If you're not gonna have him have the phone and you're gonna take
I
his
gotta be
messages,
right on.
Yeah, that's right.
I gotta
Be
be
on
right
it.
I gotta be right on. Okay, so I'm
Guy's not
starting
locked.
with putting my personal responsibility out there. If I had gone to my phone yesterday and looked back through and found that text and been prompted in any way to do that, I would have known that he was supposed to go to West Hills yesterday and not El Cap. Okay. However,
Two very different high schools.
having advanced my personal responsibility,
Santee, Lakeside.
the athlete himself
Your son.
had no idea and thought it was at El Cap.
Oh.
Wolfpack Vaqueros.
The coaches didn't like go, hey guys, tomorrow it's at West Hills, so we'll see you at West Hills tomorrow. Or if they did, he didn't hear it.
Well, then that's on him.
No one in the Elsten family had internalized that message.
I bet Sammy the dog knew.
Sammy had no idea, just that he had to be in his crate.
I think Sammy the
All
dog
Sam
knows
knew
more than
was-
you think.
Maybe. So,
Careful
point
what you say around
being,
the dog.
we all, he and I, because Mitzi had an eye appointment. It was a whole thing that I was going to drop him off and pick him up yesterday. So we did our thing.
One job.
We did our thing. I dropped him off at 5:40 for the 5:45 thing,
Okay.
and then went just like I did the night before. Drove down to the Santee YMCA, which is a little distance from El Cap and Lakeside. Drove down there, went in, had my run, ran my 5K, watched the newest episode of Severance on my iPad, then got back in the car, headed back to pick him up.
Meanwhile,
is
your
wealth.
son's sitting outside on a curb.
Well, as it turns out, there was no practice there. And he doesn't have a phone, so he didn't have a way to, like, right away go, hey, Dad,
Yeah.
there's no practice here.
Yeah.
What was happening was El Cap was playing a water polo match in the pool, which is why they couldn't use it.
Right.
And he knew the water polo head coach because that coach knew his coach. But he very politely just sat there and watched the match.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could go up and ask him for. Can I borrow your phone in
Right.
the middle of a game?
And then afterwards, he asked the coach,
Hey, do you
who
mind?
then reached out to my wife. So I'm literally driving through Santee to get to El Cap to go pick him up. And all of a sudden, my wife calls me at like 7:30. Pickup time is 7:45. Going, hey, there's no practice there. And I'm like,
Uh-oh.
what? Why am I hearing this at 7:30?
Craig, where's your son?
Basically, like, what's going on? What's going on?
Oh,
right?
my God.
Well, it was okay. The coach, like, there were still coaches there. There were
Yeah.
still people there. I pulled up. He was there. He wasn't mad. He admitted he didn't know where he was supposed to be.
Right.
But I can't get around the fact that if he had had a phone, he would have been able to text me within 3 minutes of showing up and seeing that there was no team there. And I would have been able to turn right around and get him. And he wouldn't have had to sit there and watch a water polo match. Not the worst punishment in history, but, he wouldn't have to sit there and watch a water polo match by himself with no way to contact his family and his parents. So
I think you're getting played by 13-year-olds.
maybe.
What's going on?
I do see a lot of parents who are like, hey, you have the cell phone. It's just for safety purposes. I don't know how they make it just for safety purposes. Maybe they block everything else. I don't know. But
You don't give 'em a
that is a real
smartphone,
thing.
that's how.
Like, or they give you a flip phone or
You do a
something.
flip phone because it's a pain in the ass to
Right,
text.
right.
You gotta go, hey, baby.
Right.
So-
Or a brick phone, like Charisma
Yes.
says in the
So
chat.
literally,
Yeah. If
literally
they
as
make
we're
those
driving home,
anymore.
I'm sure they do.
literally as we're driving
That's how
home,
old
eBay.
people communicate.
I have this discussion with him.
Jitterbug or whatever.
And I say,
Any Blackberries left?
what's the phone for?
Yeah.
Why do we need the phone? Is the phone for functionality? I asked him this directly. Is the phone for functionality? Because you're telling me you need it so that you can not only have this situation never come up again, but so that you can message your friends, call your friends, talk to your friends. Is it the functionality that we are seeking, or is it a status symbol amongst peers that we're seeking? Because seems to me like you clearly need a phone, but I don't think you need a smartphone. And that's what I was saying to him on the way home. I go, what if you got like a flip phone? And that way you could totally text, you could
Probably
totally
gonna get made
call.
fun of at school.
I don't think so.
I think it's cool to have
Bingo.
a flip phone now.
Bingo.
I'd be like, that's like a retro cool
He
thing.
literally,
Some of us have
Yeah.
some of us have faster thumbs here, man.
He literally gave me a frustrated chuckle at that, and he goes, "I always knew you were going to say that." He goes, "I knew you were going to. I knew one day you were going to say flip phone."
Kiss of death.
Yeah, and
Flip
so
phone until I was a junior in high school.
yeah.
It's not a big
Long
deal.
story short, by the time we got home, this was confirmed to me. The smartphone is a status symbol. It's which one did you get? Did you get the 16? Did you get the 14? Did you get the Galaxy 7? Did you get the Galaxy 50 or whatever?
You could always
it is
get him
on
a
now,
burner phone.
right? So
Just kind of pay for a couple
You actually
minutes.
could.
You could give him
You
a
get a
couple
burner
burner
phone, then
phones.
just keep changing the number.
The wire?
You know?
Good.
And then,
Hey, if you
like,
keep
how-
changing the
right.
number, you can't have
You
contacts.
can't have apps really. Like only
works
some.
the call.
Right.
Yeah, hey.
every 5 calls, you throw this in the
And
ditch.
then just throw it away.
And you know
right.
what? You know what? I think that his status in high school would be even better. Yeah, I don't think I gotta get rid of this.
Yeah, and so
Then he starts smoking cigs, and it's a problem. Then
Yeah.
it's like, wait, what's he doing over there with his burner
So,
phone?
I
let me
think
tell you
we
something.
SIM card and
That's
everything.
right.
I think we've settled on we can buy a 14, and you know we're
Look, I
gonna.
got Paul had a burner phone. He turned
Of
out
course
just
you did,
fine.
Adam. Oh, did he?
Well, I don't know. I guess.
I had a burner phone, said Adam.
That's awesome. I like it. I think the burner phone is a good compromise here.
He doesn't want a burner phone. He wants a phone.
Look at Lance.
And this is where I just eventually have to accept that in modern society, the phone you have is part of what?
I read Lance's. Oh my god! All time. That's a foul on Lance.
Lance.
You have to read that one.
On the air?
Well, yeah, that's
Yeah,
the lake
sure.
that you were talking about.
Lance says girls could still send him pics from Lake Titicaca on a flip phone.
You said it, not me.
It's true.
So
That's an actual
Lives.
South
Yeah, yeah,
American
yeah.
lake. It's the
Actual
highest
lake.
elevated
Lives.
lake in the
I don't know
in
if
the
starring
world.
your thing does
awesome.
anything, but you win comment of the day.
You do win comment of the day. All right, we got to take a break.
Which is usually held by Nate or Anthony. Good job, Lance. I don't know where they're at today.
We got to take a break. When we come back, it's time for our last silly game of the week, and that is Fast Money. It's the very popular bonus round from the Family Feud game show where you can take on either Annie or myself as we try to get the most popular answer from a recent studio audience of Annie and Elsten. Lance, you are so silly. Lance is not eligible to call today, but everyone else is at 833-288-0973.
call on your burner phone.
That's right.
Yeah.
Burner phones only.
Adam, call on your burner phone, 833-288-0973. Give us a ring right now. Lines are open now. We're going to find a contestant, and we are going to place Fast Money next on The Fan. Oh, man. We're having fun. Here it is. You are qualified or have a chance to qualify now for a chance to win our grand prize, a trip to Las Vegas to see Scorpions on March 6th, plus a 2-night stay at Planet Hollywood and a $100 gas card. Scorpions return with their 60 Years of Scorpions Las Vegas residency show, February 27th to March 11th at PH Live at Planet Hollywood Resort and Casino. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. How do you win today? By beating us in Fast Money. Here we go. It's the very popular bonus round to the Family Feud game show. It's Fast Money on Annie and Elsten. And today's contestant going for the trip to Vegas, it's Griffin in Santee. What's up, Griffin? Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you for having me.
The pleasure is ours, Griffin.
Is this Gryffindor Griffin?
I've gotten that a whole bunch throughout my life.
Are you a Grossmont Griffin?
What's up?
Are you a Grossmont Griffin? Grossmont Junior College?
No. West Hills, born and raised.
West Hills Wolfpack
I was
in the
supposed
house.
to drop off my son
Yes.
yesterday.
You
Got
were
it.
just talking about West Hills. You were just talking about
That's
West
right.
Hills.
West Hills, the blue turf, my guy.
You got to drop a pin for me so I can get there to the next practice. All right, Griffin, here we go. It's Fast Money. Here's how it's going to work. It's very straightforward. It's going to start with one simple decision by you. You're going to choose either to play Craig or to play Annie. You make that call. Then the host you pick is going to leave the studio. Our resident Ray Combs is Braden Soprenet. He has interviewed a previous studio audience of Annie and Elsten looking for their most popular answer on 5 questions. You're going to be looking for that popular answer, and you'll have 60 seconds to go through the 5. Then the host you pick returns, not knowing your answers, but being unable to use your answers. Big advantage for you. We'll compare the numbers, and at the end, if you win or tie, you will be in the hopper. That's how the game's played, Griffin. Who would you like to play? Would you like to play Craig or Annie?
I'll play Annie. I know Annie won yesterday, so.
I know, Annie's
Griffin,
on fire.
I wish you good luck.
We got a Valhalla West Hills matchup now.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Bragging rights on the line.
That's right. Go Norseman.
All right, Griffin, I'm keeping score. I've got the little scoreboard over here, and I wish you good luck. Here's Braden.
All right, Griffin, you got 1 minute to answer these 5 questions. Whoever's got the most points at the end will win the contest. Clock will start after I ask you question number 1. Name something people put in drinks.
Alcohol.
Alcohol, that's good first start, especially on a Friday, huh?
Yeah.
Hey. All right, tell me an insect that swarms.
Bees.
Bees. Another
Gotta be
great
number
answer.
1. Good one.
Name an occupation that ends with the word man.
Project manager.
Ends
Project-
with man.
Oh, yeah, it's got to
ends
end
with man.
End with man.
Shoot. Pass.
All right. Name name something people use when they can't find a Kleenex.
Toilet paper.
Toilet paper. Good
Okay.
answer.
All right. 5th and final.
I got to find a different question because that one does not apply here.
Oh.
Tell me an occasion which you might visit a cemetery.
A funeral.
Got to be. Back to number 3 real fast. A profession that ends in man.
A blank man.
Batman. I don't know.
Batman. That's
Batman.
not gonna. That's...
Probably going to get a 0 on that one, Griffin. But
all right.
the other 4 answers might be good enough to win. Here's
Occupation as a man. That's crazy.
Yeah,
what was the good one? I don't even know.
We'll tell you in a second.
Yeah, in a second, you'll hear them all. But stay right on hold there. Stay on hold, Griffin.
He's
It's
immediately gonna
Annie's
go.
turn. Yeah, as soon as you
Are
do
you
it.
kidding me?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That happens.
All right, Annie.
Happens.
Some really good answers from Griffin.
Okay.
One spot that you can definitely exploit,
Okay.
Might be 2.
maybe 2. So I wish you good luck.
Okay.
As we go back to Braden.
Name something people put in drinks.
Ice cubes.
Ice
Yes,
cubes.
Great answer.
Great answer is right. All right. Tell me an insect that swarms.
A bee.
Try again.
Dang it. An insect that swarms? A mosquito.
Great.
Sure.
Okay. I don't know.
Name an occupation that ends with the word man.
Man?
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel like... Well... An occupation that ends with the word man?
Yeah.
Like, I would say like... I feel like garbage man is like not...
That
okay,
works. That
fine.
works. We're
Garbage
going
man.
to take that.
Garbage
I
man.
feel like there could be garbage woman too.
Don't
overthink it.
Okay.
Don't overthink it. It's a game. It's a talk.
Literally a game.
Fine.
Name something that people use when they can't find a Kleenex.
Huh? Oh, something that people use when they can't find a Kleenex.
That is what I asked you.
Paper towel?
Paper towel.
Paper
All right.
towel.
That might hurt a little bit, but you know,
I've done it many a time.
you got to do what you got to do. It's better than a rocket. All right.
Yeah. Okay.
Last one for you. Tell me an occasion which you might visit a cemetery.
Oh, on Halloween when you're going on a date.
Wow.
Okay, that sounds like
There
you've
it
done
is.
that before.
So-
I had literally written in try again, but because I figured you'd just go straight to funeral.
I went ahead and I decided to be interesting.
I like it.
You know?
Yeah.
I like it.
Are you speaking
This could
from
be anyone's game. I think this could be
experience right
anyone's
now,
game.
or is this something you've done before?
I mean,
I think so.
I think so.
I've got a few, some details to
I mean,
share.
it
so
just
you know.
jumped right to front of mine.
All right.
Whoa. Let's get to the game scoring and then the story,
All right,
if time permits.
Let's hear how the West Hills Wolfpack did.
Yeah.
I got to add Annie back to the screen here. Fighting Wolfpack. Name something people put in drinks. Griffin said
Alcohol.
Alcohol.
number one answer, 45
I didn't even
points.
think about alcohol.
45. But you know what else they put in drinks? Annie said ice.
Ice, 34.
Yeah,
Hey.
great
Number
answer.
two answer.
Great answer. Okay.
Tell me an insect that swarms.
Griffin said bees.
34 points.
Yeah, he's killing it right now.
Whatever, Griffin.
But Annie said mosquitoes. Oh.
What?
Bees, hornets, flies, gnats.
I was going to say flies.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay, so right now it is 79 to 34. Going to question 3.
Name an occupation that ends in the word man.
Griffin said Batman.
Griffin, I love that answer.
Annie said garbage man.
5 points.
5 points. How
Number-
about mailman?
No,
What was
number one
number
answer.
one?
Number one answer was postman/mailman.
That's a good
Followed by policeman, handyman, repairman, fireman, garbage man, salesman, foreman, milkman.
Yeah, there's some
I
options.
love
A lot
Batman.
of options.
Batman was a rough
That was
one.
creative.
Okay, nonetheless, it's, only just now 79 to 39. The lead's down to 40.
Name something people use when they can't find a Kleenex.
Griffin said toilet paper.
27 points.
Very well done.
Number one answer tied with
Paper towels?
paper towel.
Oh, even.
Even.
Okay.
106.66.
I like your chances, Griffin, as we go to question 5. All right, let's fire it out.
What kind of Beetlejuice answer are you guys getting?
Yeah, seriously.
Tell me an occasion which you might visit a cemetery.
Well, Griffin said a funeral.
I mean, that's a safe answer.
What?
What?
Nobody said funeral.
What are you talking
That is
about?
wrong. How can that be?
It's like the number one reason to go to his
It's
cemetery.
so obvious that nobody thought it was the case.
Well, how many
What
people
are the
said
answers?
Halloween for a date?
0.
What were the answers for this question?
Well, Griffin wins.
Well, yes, but I'm on the edge of my
Congratulations,
seat
Griffin.
here, Brayden.
Yeah, I'm throwing the flag here on this survey. What's going on?
Foul in the game.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Griffin.
You'll never guess number one. Throw out more guesses. I mean,
A reason people go to
visit
the
their
cemetery to visit their loved ones.
visit their loved
yeah,
ones.
but like what the occasion would be called what?
Anniversary of death?
Anniversary is on there. 18 points, third answer.
Okay.
Okay. Is it just burial,
Burial?
instead of funeral?
No, there's that. I would have given you that.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. All right.
Their birthday, charisma.
Birthday.
Okay,
yes.
good job, charisma.
That's the fourth answer.
Exhuming somebody?
No, the other two are holidays.
Memorial Day, Veterans Day?
Why would you be Christmas?
Number one answer was
What?
Christmas.
Christmas?
Used to hanging out with family and Christmas. They're not
Okay.
there anymore.
Oh, my favorite Christmas traditions. Hanging the stocking.
Maybe
and
you do- maybe you
drinking
bring
the
a
mulled
little,
tea.
like,
The
and
number 2 answer
setting up the
was-
lights and going to the cemetery.
Number 2 is grave robbing. Just kidding. It was Easter.
Golly.
Easter.
Those are the times. Hey, survey.
What a cheerful
That's when Catholics go to church, not when people go to the graveyard.
What a cheerful
Christmas and Easter. C&E Catholics, Christmas and Easter.
Well, that was an interesting
You
game.
asked that in the 1880s, it'd be like grave robbing.
Oh, my Lord.
Or like scavenger hunt or something.
Exactly.
Oh, for fun. So how about that date?
Body exhuming, as he said.
It may or may not have happened, just
think
Maybe
it
one
did.
of-
a
maybe
Halloween date
one of your-
at a
maybe one of your
graveyard,
friends did that.
cemetery.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just to check out the
just to be scared,
ah,
you know.
see the tombs and the graves.
Play with a Ouija board out there too.
Maybe
No,
hold me
I
closer.
actually
I'm
never
scared.
had that kind of date. But I don't know that I would say no if someone said it back in the day. Now maybe I would, but
I would
you
hope
know.
that today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't
if-
want. I
if
wouldn't want to upset
Johnny
anyone
Date guy
that's
was
buried
like,
there.
"Hey,
Yeah.
let's go to the graveyard. It's Halloween."
I would.
You'd be like,
that would be immediate red flag for
You're
me.
a creep and weird.
Do you have a burner phone?
By any chance?
I can't date you.
There's no reason for
The
me to go to
burner phone
cemetery
plus
ever.
the cemetery and like a shovel in the back of your car makes it a red flag.
Yeah. Allow me to put these gloves on real quick.
Why is there mud on the?
Don't worry.
Oh, a ghost tour. They do those in like New Orleans. They do ghost tours
Yeah.
through cemeteries and stuff.
You walk that direction.
Yeah.
I'll be right behind you. Don't worry. I'm just getting something out of my trunk and putting on gloves and a mask.
No, I would want to go to a cemetery to visit the family members who have passed away.
Correct,
And
which wasn't an answer for
right,
some
and
reason.
give my my love to them, and that's about it.
Yeah. That's why you go to the cemetery.
Yes.
I mean, most of Old Town is an old cemetery anyway.
What about Christmas, though?
I could see that. I guess I could see
I
that.
could see it.
Or maybe I guess I would think it would be more like the week leading up to Christmas. But hey,
Maybe not the
Christmas,
actual
that's
day.
some dedication to spending time with your loved ones
True.
who have passed away.
Creeped out by this whole thing. Griffin, stay right there. Braden will get your information during the break. Congratulations, you're in the hopper for going to see Scorpions, who
West
are
Hills.
not in the cemetery yet.
No.
60 years, though. Getting closer all the time.
Wow.
We're getting closer to hour number 4. Tony Sanchez up next. Final hour of the program and of our work week as well. It's Andy and Elsten here with you on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. This hour is going to fly right by. We've got Tony Sanchez from San Diego Punto Football standing by on hold. He is going to get us through what was quite an eventful and positive week for mostly positive. Naomi Gurma did get sold to Chelsea. Mostly positive, more positive than Padres news for the week. So we're going to chat with Tony momentarily. However, the Border Fire 2, I hate to have sequels like this.
Border 2
Yes.
Fire.
Yeah, Border 2 Fire is still active. And we've got Dorothy Tran with the very latest. Here is this fire update.
For Odyssey San Diego with an update on the Border 2 fire. An evacuation warning has been issued for the areas of Engineer Springs and Delzura. There are 2 evacuation centers, one at Edwards Theater in Rancho San Diego and the other at Southwestern College. The Border 2 fire has grown to 5,389 acres and is at 10% containment. Stay tuned for more updates as the story develops.
Thank you, Dorothy. And stay tuned to Gwen and Chris. Anything we have here at Odyssey, we will pass on to you throughout the broadcast day. Now we go to the 97.3 The Fan hotline. We are joined by one of our most celebrated recurring guests. He is one of the co-hosts of the Two Balls and a Mic podcast, one of the co-creators of the website sandiego.football, sandiego.football. And that is Tony Sanchez coming back to get us updated on everything that's been happening with San Diego FC, the Wave, the Sockers, and more. Hey, Tony, Craig and Annie here. Happy Friday to you.
Thank you for having me on once again here from smoky, sunny Chula Vista here in the South Bay.
Yeah, you're close to the border, too.
Yes.
At least to a little bit close. Hopefully everything cool for your neighborhood and everyone else. Tony, let's start with SDFC. We'll get to Wave. If we have a little time at the end, we might tack on a little bit of Sockers. But your thoughts on what's been taking place, first couple of weeks of training. We'll get into the signings as we go forward, but just kind of what are your global thoughts on what's been happening the last 2 weeks with San Diego FC?
So this is the biggest week for San Diego FC in their history just because it's the first one that isn't theoretical. There's actual players who are training at the Singing Springs facility, and this is really now the time where the style of play is going to start molding itself. The first week, it's getting everybody in fitness. Everybody had, a great holiday, and you can tell for some players, but it's getting back into match condition and match fitness as they move into the next part of training, which is really going to be where they'll go ahead and have a chance to see what this team looks like on the field. Tomorrow is actually going to be the first ever preseason game against USL Championship side Phoenix Rising. And then that's going to really give Coach Mikey Vadas an opportunity to see what the squad looks like as they're coming together, as it's almost here, a month almost from now, where the season will actually kick off.
Yeah, Tony, you were at the SDFC press conference for Anders Dreyer and Luca De La Torre. What kind of moves were these for SDFC?
These are some of the best moves that San Diego FC could have done. On one side, Luca De La Torre is bringing that experience from leagues such as Netherlands, Eredivisie, Spain's La Liga, and the English Premier League. He is currently on loan for 12 months through the 2025 MLS season. And he's really looking to maybe come back and make a home of this. When talking to Luca De La Torre, he did say that if it benefits him and if he really likes the style, he really likes the way this is coming together, he's going to go ahead and prefer to stay here at home and play in front of friends and family, but also help build something that's very special here. As far as Anders Dreyer's, that is a stellar signing. A great piece of negotiation by Tyler Heaps, who had a player here valued at around 10 million euros and was brought down to about 5. And that was largely in part because of the scheme that the Right to Dream Academy has. This academy style philosophy that they're going to bring, and really the opportunity to start something new was enticing enough to bring a world-class player here to the number 10, a historically classic and incredibly important number and position on the squad.
All right. This is funny. It's funny you bring that up, Tony, because we were actually chatting a couple days ago with Tyler Heaps, and we did an MLS 101 segment on this because Dreyer wears number 10, but it's fair to say Luca De La Torre is the number 10. for SDFC, right? In terms of De La Torre is your center attacking midfielder, while Dreyer is more of the 11, the right wing on attack. Fair?
Yes, exactly. And the reason you give Dreyer the 10 isn't necessarily because of the positioning. It's because of what he brings and his dynamic style of play. Dreyer likes to play on the wings. He's good with both feet. He can float into the middle and have those long range shots and also be able to contribute in that midfield section. And so he's honestly the player that is the most explosive and an X factor. And that's that 10. That 10 is that player that's almost a magician that can, whether or not your team is doing well, he can come through and really put this team on his back and showcase with his world-class talent that it's possible to go ahead and move forward with either a tie or a win just based on that talent alone. So it's the 10 is the talisman. He is the talisman of San Diego FC.
Tony, is this the full roster or should we expect more to come?
There should be more to come. Currently, San Diego FC stands at 23 official players that have been announced. There are about 4 to 5 players in training who are doing tryouts, but overall, once the season kicks off, there will be a necessary 30-player roster on this team in order to go ahead and maneuver within. There is still opportunities to move up from the practice squad, but for right now, it's an incomplete team, but this is the basis right now of what San Diego FC will be coming in starting February 23rd in LA.
But just to follow up on that very briefly, we're not expecting like starter level signings the rest of the way, more like depth level signings?
That's correct. And it's definitely interesting with the transfer windows as well. MLS's transfer window goes up until April. However, the transfer window in the rest of the world will close at the end of January. So any large, big-name signings for right now will be placed on hold. And moving forward, I think it's more of depth players and maybe some MLS, just MLS caliber players who would also bring some experience, but nothing that's going to be earth-shattering.
Tony Sanchez, our guest, co-founder of San Diego Punto Football, co-host of the Two Balls and a Mic podcast. Let's flip over to San Diego Wave FC. They just opened up their full squad training camp yesterday. Jonas Eideval is back from overseas. But so many changes this winter for San Diego Wave FC, including their most popular and recognizable players no longer being here. What do you think fans can expect from the side in 2025?
Fans can definitely expect a different San Diego Wave in every respect, in every aspect. You have a world-class player like Naomi Girma who is leaving, so you don't have that strong, stalwart player that's in front of Kaylin Sheridan to really clean up any mistakes at a midfield or lacking attack is going to go ahead and bring issues for your team. But this team that's coming into this next season is actually, some may say, more enticing and more exciting. A lot of international players and a lot of youth that's also coming through. Just speaking about Favor Emmanuel, one of the Nigerian midfielders that was signed, who's going to bring that power, that presence into the midfield for Wave that was very much missing, a physicality that this squad was missing in order to go ahead and distribute up until the attack and really give opportunities for Maria Sanchez to start shining, something that she was doing at the end of the season, as well as Delphine Cascarino on the right side. And from what we're hearing from training camp is that right now this team is really looking like it's going to be very special coming through, and Jonas Eideval will have some important decisions to make when it comes to the starting 11.
Yeah, and Tony, we were so familiar with Casey Stoney and her style and how she ran things. What kind of coach is Jonas Eideval, and how does he differ? How is he similar to what Casey did?
Jonas is definitely a little bit more attacking minded, whereas Casey, being a defender herself, is what contributed to San Diego Wave's defensive style and on a counterattack. When that counterattack wasn't working for Casey and the team, it seemed like everything fell through for San Diego Wave. But Jonas, in his experience in the WSL with Arsenal, had a very vertical, forward-moving style of play that had attackers really peppering the opponent's goal at all times throughout the game. And it's also very important to note that he's also credited in helping develop players. And this is a young team that's going to need development and has a lot of holes in chemistry that are going to need to be patched with talent. And if anybody can do that, Jonas Eideval is the coach to do it and really put players in the right positions as the season goes.
Tony, a signing that was announced earlier this week kind of raised an eyebrow in terms of the Wave signing Didi Haricic to become a goalkeeper for this franchise. We've seen Didi come down as the starter for Angel City FC each of the last 3 years. She's very much an established MLS veteran in between the pipes. Do you see this as a depth signing behind Kaylin Sheridan? From what I've heard, and I think what you've heard, Kaylin is kind of like the one superstar on the team that has been very adamant about staying and still being a part of Wave FC. But is that the case, or could this be preview of yet another departure?
I do believe this is a sign of depth signing as well, because before this signing, there wasn't a lot of depth in the goalkeeping position, and having a world-class player like Kaylin Sheridan means that she's going to be utilized by the Canadian national team, a.k.a. Casey Stoney, who is now the head coach of the national team over in Canada. But definitely a depth signing, and is really going to be important to have that experience with Didi Haricic, who played in LAFC, to know what it's like and what it takes to be successful in the NWSL. So this is also, as Camille Ashton, general manager, said, an opportunity to push the goalkeepers and provide healthy competition, something that, again, we're hearing from preseason training is actually happening, and it's going to elevate everybody's level at San Diego Wave.
All right, two more things, and we're going to let you go, Tony. But I got to ask about Naomi Girma. I mean, when we talked about it earlier this week, I was, I'm upset. I'm upset. Naomi Girma is one of the best players in the world. She's the best center back in the world, and $1 million is $1 million, or $1.1 million. Cool beans, great. That's in your coffers. You bought some young players. I get it. How do the Wave justify this? You're obviously worse without Girma than with Girma. How do they justify this? Is this as simple as Naomi wanted to go, and so we need to let her go?
From what I know is that Naomi Girma was actually almost 50-50 up until last week in her decision to leave San Diego Wave or stay. And so it was a difficult decision that she did take time to really think over and go back to her team. And it seems like this is what's going to work out best for her career, as well as San Diego Wave. And San Diego Wave, on the other hand, also get a good chunk of change back. And in that same vein, able to go ahead and build a team moving forward. So in a lot of different ways, it's because of Naomi Girma that Wave will be able to be better moving forward. But I think you mentioned it earlier in this week as well. Losing the best player is never a good thing. There's no amount of money that can replicate what Naomi Girma was able to bring. However, there is a lot of talent that could be enough to patch this defense and patch this team for San Diego Wave moving forward and have them have a successful year. But Naomi Girma over to Chelsea, that's going to be an interesting and a great opportunity for the best defender in the world to get even better. And she joins local San Diegan Mia Fischel as well.
All right, last thing for you, and this is something we talked to Tyler Heaps about on Wednesday. I think this is one of the most important things in the entire world of San Diego FC, Tony. So I need to loop you in on this. What do we call the players as a familiar? We don't. What do we say? We say, Anders Dreyer, you are SDFC. You are an FC-er. You are what? What do we call him? You can't call him you are Azul. That doesn't work. You can't call him blue. Chrome Devils? Do we go Chrome Devils? Where do we go?
It's actually a very interesting question. And that's what the beauty of this sport will give you, because you have the natural organic growth of something that's very much new for everybody. The supporters may be the ones to bequeath that name onto the players. And the team itself, it seems like there's not going to be an actual mascot or an actual nickname right now. So if anything comes up naturally, but the chromed, but Azul also kind of goes hand in hand with that. I think, you know what, that's something I'll have to think about. But as for right now, hey, they're San Diegans, they're San Diegos, they're San Diegan. What do we, they're Pods, they're Padres.
Chrome Chunklas? Like, some people feel like Chrome Devils is too much of a rip-off Red Devils. Like Chrome Chunklas, Chrome Border Gates. I don't know.
Yeah, we call them the Snapdragonites.
The Snappies, the Dragons,
Chrome Dragons.
Chrome Dragons.
Chrome Dragons.
Chrome Dragons. That might be it.
I like that.
That might be it. All right, Tony, let everyone know how they can support and find San Diego Punto Football, the Two Balls and a Mic podcast, and all the great work you do.
Absolutely. You can check out everything that we do over on our YouTube channels, sandiego.futbol, Futbol. We have the Two Balls and a Mic podcast. where we go every Monday at 8 p.m. and talk about everything soccer in San Diego, and our website, sandiego.futbol, which is also all of our social media handles, so sandiego.futbol, football.
And by the way, also on the San Diego Punto Football podcast network, Soccer's Overtime, hosted by Tony and I, Tuesdays at 6 p.m. on his website. So find us on YouTube. Find us on YouTube Tuesdays at 6 if you like the Soccers.
Yes.
Who have done pretty good for themselves. 8-1 so far this year. Tony, great stuff as always, brother. Thank you so much. We'll chat
Thanks, Tony.
down the road.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
There he goes. The great Tony Sanchez. I just love that we have something else. You know what I mean? We have something else. We have 2 top-flight soccer teams in town, MLS coming to town, new teams, new players, new colors. Don't know what to call them as a familiar. It's exciting.
Los Cromes del Sur.
Los Cromes del Sur.
When is the first wave game?
The first wave game is March 22nd.
And the first SDFC home game is
March 1st.
Okay.
March 1st.
So you got to, and then the first Padres game is
March 27th. I think it's March 27th.
Yeah, it's like right around there. Brandon says
yes.
thumbs up. Yeah.
March 27th.
27th against Jerks and
Against
Profar.
Jerks and Profar and the Atlanta Braves. Literally the first player we're going to face this year.
Yesterday was so cold.
I was mad at him.
It was a dagger.
mad.
I mean, it was a good tweet. I got to tell you, it was a good tweet.
It was funny, but I was mad.
But it was icy.
I was like, oh, it's so cold, AJ.
He said, Jerks and Profar will start the season playing left field in San Diego when the Braves take on the Padres for the first game of the season.
He'll be their leadoff man.
Yeah.
Jerkson's going to be the first batter we face this season. That feels karmic to me.
Mm-hmm.
That feels karmic to me.
Full circle.
Not in a great way for us, but it feels quite karmic for me that Profar will be the first batter we face. The first person who's trying to beat us this year is going to be Jerks and Profar.
Yeah, that actually will be pretty weird on opening day. They start the season at home?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, on opening day.
Yeah.
To face him as the first player if he's the leadoff guy.
And he gets a standing O. He gets a standing O as a visitor.
Yeah.
As he should. And then you, Dylan, Michael, I don't know who.
Right.
Tries to strike him out. Or he tries to hit a double, or more likely has a 7-pitch at bat and maybe works a walk. Better not hit him with a pitch.
Oh, boy.
The drama starts early.
That'll get people to watch.
First at bat.
Clear the benches. Clear the benches on the first at
bat. Martin Maldonado comes and puts a hand on his shoulder and goes, hey, buddy.
Amazing.
Acuna, you going to come off the bench like Manny did?
That's right.
Let's find out.
And have the pitcher, whoever's pitching, yelling at him. We would have backed you.
We would have.
This is a test. You failed.
1:18, we take a timeout. When we come back, our regular Friday contributor, Media Melanie, is along with a streaming television recommendation for you to enjoy over the weekend. And I've got one for you, too, that is really good. I don't know if it'll make Annie's list. She's got a long list.
It's a long list.
But we're going to find out next on The Fan. 123 on the Fan. It's Annie and Elsten here with you. Rolling till 2 o'clock. Gwen and Chris will check in from 2 to 6. Got our man Matt Scraby inside the borders of Scrabistan for the Scraby Show from 6 to 7 o'clock. And
Is
then
that
that's
when?
it.
Is that when it goes haywire Friday nights?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Friday
yeah.
nights in Scrabistan or something else.
Mm-hmm.
It's the purge.
The ritual executions.
That's right.
The blood dances. The marionettes. Always the marionettes.
You notice Annie goes down to talk to the afternoon show and everybody, but Friday, because she knows about Scrabistan
That's
right.
Fridays.
That's right.
She knows
Scrabistan
better.
Fridays.
It's not a
Airing
good
of
place.
grievances.
That's right.
There's a lot that happens.
It's like it's Festivus every Friday,
Every Friday is Festivus.
but
in
it's the
Scrabistan.
it's Scrabifest.
Oh, baby. With
It's a darker version of Festivus.
with that,
Way darker.
it's just only grievances.
It goes black pants with the black shirt.
Only grievances. There's no poll. There's no poll involved.
That's right.
Let's head out to our 97.3 The Fan hotline. Love having her on every Friday afternoon. Provide a little different flavor to your sports weekend. Yeah, you got the championship games coming up. You got some great NBA. You got plenty of stuff happening this weekend. But what about streaming TV? What about something that you could sink your jaws into and enjoy over the weekend, whether it's tonight, tomorrow, what have you? That's why Media Melanie joins us every Friday for our Crossing Streams segment. Melanie, how are you?
I am well. Thank you for having me. Boy, it's been a busy week, and heading into the weekend, hopefully some of these fires die down. It's been some scary times out here, you know?
Absolutely. And for LA and now for us and for everyone, hope the winds calm. I'm sure the golfers would like the winds to calm as well. The scores have been really bad the last 2 days as a result, but that's probably the lowest on our list of issues right now. All right, Media Melanie, I've got one for you. You've got one for us. Let's roll out our streaming TV recs for this week.
All right. Well, I've got a binge for everybody this week, Craig. The Night Agent on Netflix is back for a second season. And I haven't started it yet, and I don't want to give away too many spoilers either from the first season because it's one of those twisty type of shows. But it is pulse-pounding, it is packed with conspiracies, and it's one of these shows that really keeps you guessing until the very end. It is based on Matthew Quirk's novel, and it serves up high-stakes espionage, betrayals, and it also infuses just the right amount of heart and humanity. Craig, did you watch season 1 of The Night Agent?
I don't believe I did. No. I need to know more.
Okay.
I need to know more.
All right. Well, luckily, I can tell you more about it. The story kicks off. That's why I'm here, right?
Yes.
The story does kick off in season 1 with Peter Sutherland. He's a low-level FBI agent, and he's got this job where he sits monitoring a phone line that never rings in the basement of the White House. It's called the Night Action Line. Things heat up when the phone rings, finally.
Shocker.
And he receives... He receives a desperate call from a woman named Rose Larkin. She is a tech entrepreneur, and she's on the run after her aunt and uncle are brutally murdered. Enter the game of deadly cat and mouse as these two work together to uncover a conspiracy that could shake the core of the U.S. government. And our lead here, Peter, he's an unlikely hero. He's a principled guy. He's caught in this web of corruption, can't tell who's his friend, who's his foe. And then we've got Rose, who's got charm, a little bit vulnerable. So they're a nice balance for each other on the screen. They've got good chemistry. They dodge assassins, unearth hidden agendas. I mean, there's a lot going on. We've got action sequences, political drama, heartfelt moments. And then, Craig, once you think you figured it out, they pull the rug out from under you at the end. Whew. And just a little side note, I enjoyed that Sarah Desjardins from Yellow Jackets is actually in this show. She plays the vice president's daughter who's got some secrets of her own. Overall, this show has some great pacing, sleek cinematography, high stakes. It feels a little bit like 24 meets The Bourne Identity with just the right amount of drama and personal storylines to keep things grounded. So, as I said, this is a binge. You can catch both full seasons on Netflix. Season 2 just dropped this week. They both have 10 episodes. They're about an hour long. I plan to dive in this weekend if I can, and hope everybody enjoys it if you do give it a watch.
Interesting. The Night Agent, 2 seasons. It's Netflix, so it's bingey, so I'm sure every single episode ends on a cliffhanger that rolls to the next one because that's the Netflix style, right?
Yes, it is. And Craig, I've just got to say, I wish we'd go back to weekly drops with some shows. It's just so much TV, so many binge watches. Like, let's let it marinate a little bit more, you know?
Well, you know what? I got just the show for you then, Melanie. I got just the show for you. We're going to stay in a very similar genre, all right? We're going to stay in the spy thriller genre, but we're going to go to a week-by-week release that has 1 week left in it. It's got one more release next week, so you could, theoretically, binge and catch up and then hit the finale next week, and that is The Agency, which streams on Paramount Plus with Showtime. Yeah, that's this weird thing. If you get Paramount Plus, you get Showtime. It's Paramount Plus. All right, I can just say Paramount Plus. But that's how they say it. It's Paramount Plus with Showtime, and when you press play, the bing, bing, boom, boom, Showtime thing pops up. So, any hoodles. The Agency is a sprawling, international spy thriller with an absolute all-star cast. In fact, a cast that would be perfectly set for an A-list summer movie. We are going to focus on Michael Fassbender. Who's better than Michael Fassbender, right? He's amazing. And he plays codename Martian, a longtime CIA agent, field agent, somebody undercover spy. When we first meet him, he is in Africa concluding a field assignment of multiple years. He has wound up falling in love with somebody, with a doctor there in the Sudan named Samia, who is played by Jodie Turner-Smith, who we both know from Bad Monkey. Media Melanie as the Red Dragon in Bad Monkey. She was so good in that. She is statuesque and brilliant and cold and reserved and yet, warm-hearted in this. She's tremendous. But so you got Fassbender, you got her, you got Jeffrey Wright, who plays the CIA London deputy station chief. The station chief of the London CIA office is played by Richard Gere. I mean, I'm telling you, this is an amazing, amazing cast. Catherine Waterston, Sam Waterston's daughter, who you've seen in a million things. She plays Martian's handler. And what happens is at the very beginning of the season, he is recalled to London. He is brought back to the home office, so to speak. But what he did in Africa follows him back to London. And he is simultaneously trying to unfold a conspiracy that is happening and also to cover up his own complicity in what's happening. This is a really well-written, deep, twisty, rock-solid spy series. So if you're into that, this is, I'm not going to say top of class, but it's certainly an A-level spy thriller series. There's 10 episodes. 9 are available to watch right now. The 10th one, again, is coming out next week. This is a redo of a very acclaimed and famous series in France called Le Bureau des Legends, the Bureau of Legends. But it's been simplified to The Agency here. Really, really well done. George Clooney is one of the producers of this, along with Grant Heslov. But I'm going to be really honest with you, Melanie. I started this in the winter break. Very, what's the right word? I don't want to say dispassionately, but I started it not knowing if I would continue it. I started it going like, well, let's give this a look. And I don't know if I'm going to like it or not, but let's give it a look. And it's really well done, and it's drawn me in, and I've been back each and every week to watch. So happy to recommend The Agency. I think it's quite well done. And if you do have Paramount Plus, it's right there waiting for you, so go check it out.
All right. Well, it's funny you mentioned that, Craig, because I had started it. I thought it started off a little bit slow. So this reminds me maybe I need to dive back in. Everybody's talking about it. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. All right. So we got 2 spy twisty things for you. We got The Night Agent on Netflix from Melanie. We've got The Agency on Paramount Plus from yours truly. Before you go, let everyone know where they can find your YouTube channel and everything you do.
Yes, you can follow me at Media Melanie on the socials, and please go ahead and hit that subscribe button at MediaMelanieTV.com right here on YouTube.
Have a great weekend, my friend. We'll chat next Friday.
Thanks, you too. Bye, guys.
Bye, Melanie.
Media Melanie.
Love it.
There she goes. All right, let's take our last time out. And in doing so, let's reopen the phone lines. Boom. 833-288-0973. Lines are open. 833-288-0973. You've got a solid 15 minutes to call the show. I mean, closer to 16.
Or leave a voicemail.
You could have left or did leave or maybe shall leave a voice message on the Odyssey app. We'll check that out. We'll see if anyone's dropped us an Odyssey audio message today. But give us a call. Oh, big thumbs down from Braden.
No.
No messages. So you still have time. You could do it right now. You can crack open that Odyssey app.
Or
and
you
go,
can call
beep.
the show. There's a lot of what's the word?
Use your burner phone.
Interesting comments in the chat today, call in.
Yeah.
Let's hear from you.
Why
you
not?
know?
Why not? 833-288-0973. That's our number. 833-288-0973. If you don't call in, we'll let you know what's going on at Farmers. We'll chat a little bit about Genesis coming here and so on and so forth. If you do call in, we'll put you on hold during the break. We'll take you on the air when we come back. All we ask is that you have a question to ask the show. Ask us anything. It's next on The Fan. on Ask Us Anything. We're going to get right to you. Thank you for calling. Stay on hold briefly. I'm going to start with just a brief piece of good news after I mute my computer again, which is that San Diego Wave FC just announced yet another signing and a player who oversees for Aston Villa in the English Premier League Women was a superstar and, in fact, a number 10, somebody wearing the number 10, and that is Kenza Dali. They have just announced the signing of Kenza Dali. She has put it up on her socials as well. They're showing her voluminous scoring highlights from France and England. So another new player for San Diego Wave FC. Exciting for that. Just chatted with Tony Sanchez at the top of the hour. Now, Jurickson Profar is being introduced to the Atlanta media. He is either in the process of or just completed a Zoom call. And this clip just popped on social media of Jurickson Profar being asked about potentially re-signing with the Padres, or basically what happened with the Padres. And here's what he had to say.
Did it become apparent to you that maybe you wouldn't return to the Padres, and you kind of fielded the interest from some of the other teams?
Obviously, the Padres have some issue with the ownership on all that, and it was difficult to go back, but Alex showed a lot of interest in me, and I love that.
Did it become apparent?
So Alex is Alex Anthopoulos,
Yes.
the GM of the Braves.
Yeah. I mean, it's good to have interest if you're a player and a GM is really pursuing you and talking about all your value and trying to get you on their team. Like, that's going to feel good as a player. I know for a fact Jurickson would have loved to stay in San Diego. I mean, he wanted to stay in San Diego. And whether or not this deal was a good one for the Padres or not, it's never good, real or perceived, to have that kind of stuff floating around.
Yeah, to have players saying it in press conferences is a big, big walk away from chat comments or, social media posts or whatever. This is confirmation in a way that what's going on with the ownership dispute is affecting the bottom line for the Padres. It's directly affecting their chance to bring back a beloved player like Jurickson Profar.
Yeah, and I think that there's a misconception out there about like the pot of money that they're working with. It seems like there's a thought amongst fans that the money's going to change, and depending on maybe who's running the team, and I just want to remind you that like the money's going to stay the same because it's the money. It's all coming from the same place. It's the same trust. The money is what it is, and remember that's 24% that Peter Seiler, 25%, I can't remember right now, the quarter of the percentage. There's 75 other percent. Now, there's more Seilers that are obviously in on the ownership, but then there's a whole bunch of other owners. And the way that they made deals in the past 2, 3, 4 years was through getting loans and through capital calls. And so the money is essentially the same that they're working with, So I just think that that's important, whether it's Shield, whether it's the brothers, whether it's Kutsenda, whether it's someone's dog, like you're coming from that same pool, and the same financial situation remains the same that you've been trying to work yourself out of from the last few years and figure out, and then also like run the rest of the team. So that's not a negative thing or a slight. It's more of just like hopefully educational, maybe hopefully in the sense of like, this is their situation at hand until they kind of maybe move in a different direction.
So some good news and some not so good news as we hit the bumper. Eight 833-288-0973 is the number to use. Calling back, presumably to do a victory lap after Fast Money, is Griffin in Santee. Hi, Griffin. Welcome back. Ask us anything. Griffin.
Hang on.
Is Griffin still trying to collect his prize?
That's what I was wondering. Was he calling back because he was afraid you didn't get his birthday right or something?
That's right.
I don't know.
His info's good.
Anyway, your info's good, Griffin. Here's Juan in Vista. Hi, Juan. Ask us anything.
Hey guys, I just wanted to ask a question bouncing off of the last segment for media. I kind of wanted to know if you guys have seen any of the Best Picture nominations for the Oscars.
Oh my gosh, I don't think I've seen one this year.
Because I would recommend a couple.
No.
Yeah, which ones would you recommend, Juan?
The Brutalist. I will
Okay.
say it's like 3.5 hours.
Oh,
so-
wow.
Okay, well,
It
keep
does
going.
have an intermission though.
Oh.
So
I may need the
There's that.
internet. I may need the intermission.
Watch
and
it
then
two parts.
Honora, which is it's related to one specific character whose profession I don't think I could say on the radio.
Okay. Oh.
And then The Substance, but only if you can stomach gore.
Honora stars the young woman Mikey Madison, who was a star on Better Things. I got to check that out. All right, good stuff, Juan. Appreciate you, man. A lot of people
Thanks,
said
Juan.
The Brutalist is amazing, and that's a long film. And I never saw Killers of the Flower Moon because it was so long. Yeah, Nate
Yeah,
is correct.
You're right, Nate.
Not going on
Not
Annie's
watching that
list.
one.
I understand.
3-hour one.
It's all good. Here's Jason in Claremont. Hi, Jason. You're on with Annie and Elsten. Ask us anything.
Yeah, who makes the best sandwiches in San Diego?
Oh, you killer.
I've had discussions with this with my
You're just
boys.
trying to start a wildfire of your own, but it's one with meats and cheeses.
I like a
I
lot
don't
of
know the
different
answer to
sandwich
this.
places. Depends what you're looking for there.
I'm going to shout out a local just because
Mm-hmm.
I went there just yesterday, which is BMH Italian Deli,
Mm.
right next to St. Martin's off of El Cajon Boulevard in La Mesa. Wonderful. Open, I think now 7 days a week. It used to be Monday through Saturday, but usually open till 5 o'clock, and they have great sandwiches and fresh-made bread every single day. Delicious.
Oh, delicious.
Italian places, definitely Mona Lisa's, down in Little Italy. Been going there for years to get their sandwiches. I like Sandwich Emporium, too, over in the Bay Park area.
Mm-hmm.
That place is really good. And then I guess it's more of a chain now, but Rubicon Deli's been hitting a lot.
Slapping.
Yeah. I mean, I was on the board and brew phase before they started popping up everywhere because there was only the one in Del Mar.
Right.
And so all the Cathedral and Torrey and all the high schools over there when they had half days would all go to board and brew.
Board and
which
Brew's
is still
legit.
really good,
It's
but
legit.
I might have board and brewed myself out a little bit in the high school and college years, so I'm on a break for a little bit.
Jacob mentions Ike's. I had Ike's over the
Ike's
Christmas
is solid.
break.
It's a Bay
solid.
Area
It's
place.
just it's pricey for the size you get. It's like $15 for a small sandwich.
Oh.
Pretty much. Like not
Is that
not
kind of
gigantic.
what it's going for these days? I don't know.
Kinda.
I don't really get sandwiches. I used to get them from Harvest Ranch back in the day.
My friends love Mendocino Farms.
I love, actually, I get
Yeah,
a good
that's very
veggie
good.
sandwich from Mendocino
very
Farms.
good.
Yeah.
Here's Johnny in Forest Ranch. Hey Johnny, you're on with Annie and Elsten. Ask us anything.
Hello, happy Friday, Craig, Annie, and Braden. How are you guys?
Doing great,
well.
mate.
Great, Nate.
Good.
How are you?
I'm great.
Good.
I'm great. Obviously, I have a. Craig already knows I'm the soccer guy here, so I have a soccer question. First of all, I just want to mention I'm glad that the Wave signed Dali. I'm really sad that both Jaden Shaw and Naomi Girma are gone.
Yeah.
Although I understand why, especially for Girma. But my question for you, Craig, is, and I don't know if you watch a lot of women's soccer or women's football, but the NWSL is considered to be the premier league in the world because the U.S. obviously is the pinnacle for women's soccer. But
Right.
do you think that it's really better than like the WSL in England or even Frauen Bundesliga or the other leagues?
Well, here's the thing, Johnny. I think that what we're finding is that for the true elite player, and we interviewed one of these just a week ago, Lindsay Horan, she plays in Lyon in France instead of being in the NWSL. Now, might she come back after her contract expires to play for Wave and be close to Tyler Heaps? Maybe, hopefully.
You were sure trying to plant the seed the other day.
Absolutely. But like seeing Girma leave because in the reporting she can make way more money over there.
Yeah.
I've got to say that the NWSL has some serious competition. If they're losing their superstars to leagues overseas, they're losing their standing as number one. Now I think you'd have to say they are one of the top leagues in the world, but I think you have to look to England and you have to look to Germany and also France and say that there is a very high level there as well. So great question, Johnny. Appreciate you, brother. Let's go to Martin in Santee. Keep the calls rolling. Hi, Martin. Ask us anything.
Good afternoon, all. this is a little take for me, but it is a question. Is there anything we as Padre fans can do with the current situation to reach out in some way to say, hey, this isn't what Peter Seidler had in mind? From the family side, financial, a lot of things that we don't get or understand. But is there anything we can do as fans to, send a touch point or a reach out that may help to really, I don't want to say see the light because there's a lot of layers to it, but just kind of get back to making the Padres champions again and that spirit that I think we've lost a little bit. So anyway, I'm very interested in your thoughts on something like that. And it's a tough question.
It is a tough question, Martin. Appreciate you, though.
Martin, Peter Seidler would have loved 93 wins and going to the playoffs last year, and that was done under Eric Kutsenda. So I totally get your question, and I think it's it's reasonable. I understand where fans are coming from. I think Peter, and I know Peter actually because Peter talked about it. If Peter was still alive, and I hate saying that because it really bothers me to say that, but he had talked about before he passed away, the spending needed to come to a different level. They needed to find a different level that was more quote unquote sustainable, not his word, my word, or the word of other people. So while his vision is for the Petco to be full and the team to be competitive, there is another vision of not being in debt and being able to go ahead and not field the best team you can without being, I guess, in the hole where you need to be financially. So it's a tricky situation, man. It's a tricky situation. And I don't think that Peter's vision is to be uncompetitive. I know it's not. But I think even Peter knew that his vision had to change with the times depending on how they could structure their finances.
Yeah. And I guess just tacking on to that, it's not the exact same spot as it was last year because obviously we've had the lawsuit, we've had some public ownership dispute situations. The ownership situation was a situation last spring as well. And the team was extremely, extremely inactive last winter as well. And it wasn't until March 11th that they finally made a huge move. And that was the Dylan Cease trade. And A.J. Preller made every move he could last year, and in doing so, he traded 12 of his 15 top prospects. Mm-hmm. If he hadn't have done that last year, we'd have already seen moves this year because he'd have that fodder to use. Mm-hmm. So your question wasn't that. Your question was what statement can fans make? And I think the first thing that I would just advise is patience because we're not to opening day yet, and many things could happen between here and there. And after that, I think we all know what a fan's way to speak to a team is. It's with their pocketbook. So you make your decisions, along the way as a fan. But I'm not throwing that flag up the flagpole. Mm-hmm. I feel like you got to be patient first and wait to see what happens with this organization.
See what kind of team that you have during the season and how competitive they are or aren't. And then you got to kind of make your decisions from there. And just as a reminder, it's... Okay, I'm going to run out of time. Just as a reminder, I see a comment in the chat that Peter would not put a $400 million offer for Judge and reduce payroll, $100 million in salary the following year. I don't think that was his intention. However, they were up against the debt, and they had done as many capital calls as they could do for the rest of the ownership group. And MLB kind of, like they do with every team that gets in that position, had to force their hand. So that's the reality of it.
It's where we are.
That's where you move forward.
You know where else we are? At the end of the show and at the end of the week.
Weekend.
That's it for us.
Happy Friday, everyone.
Gwen and Chris are up next. It's gravy after that for Annie and Brett.